Hello, everyone. I'm so sorry for the delay. We've had some technical difficulties again. I don't know, man. I don't know if it's which three-letter agency, which of the G-men are out to get us this time, but I'm hoping everything's okay. I think you can hear me now. This is given time for the room to fill up, right? So that's good. We got 129 people watching. You know the thing. I'm not even going to say anything. You know what to do. So I'm just going to tweet that we're live, and then we'll get right into it. We'll get into the malarkey, right? We'll get into the malarkey. There's a lot of malarkey. The malarkey don't quit, do it. It's good to be here with you guys, right? We go through it together. Whatever it may be. So thank you all for tuning in. And I better see a roll call in the comments, right? Because I'm not starting without a roll call. The class does not begin. The class is not in session until the roll call is done. So I want to see everyone here. You guys are taking guesses in the comments of which three-letter agency is stopping us. NSA, CIA. I can tell you which one it was. It's KFC. They're trying to stop us, man. So here we go. I can see the roll call. Keep it coming. Let's go. Yallah. So what malarkey shall we start with today? You know what we should do? I just had a brilliant idea. I'm not gonna say it though because I'm gonna wait till I can actually do it next time. So next time we go live, I'm gonna show you something special, which means nothing because you don't know what it is. Just wait till next time. You know the thing, right? We have to speak in uncertain terms. Okay, so that's good. Everyone's here. Thank you. So let's start with the malarkey. Okay. So the $15 minimum wage, what's going on with that right now? We already know what happened to the checks, right? Those $2,000 stimulus checks, which are now $1,400, and they shorted you. So what are they doing about the $15 minimum wage? Because again, this is something that Joe Biden ran on. Okay, which I mean, this honestly speaking, it even surprised me because he took that was like perhaps the only progressive thing on his platform, which he took from Bernie Sanders. And I mean, he's not going to fight for it, is he? So here's what's going on, right? You had the Senate parliamentarian, which I think, again, most Americans don't even know what that is. And yet now it's being brought into the fold. It's being brought into the mix as an excuse as to why you can't have a $15 minimum wage. Yes. Oh, you thought Biden was gonna give it to you? No. He's gonna give it to you, but in another way. So just let me play this clip for you very quickly, okay? Forgive me, it's MSNBC. I know.
Parliamentarian has denied Senate Democrats' attempt to include a $15 an hour minimum wage in the $1.9 trillion COVID relief package. This is a huge setback for Democrats who were bullish on the prospect that it would survive. President Biden, a veteran of the Senate, had signaled this could happen, and it's unclear what Democrats will do going forward. The minimum wage increase is currently in the House version of the bill, which is set to hit the floor tomorrow. Joining me now is Reverend Al Sharpton, president of the National Action Network, and the Reverend has.
Okay, I'm not going to torture you further. I just wanted you to hear the first line, right, for the Senate parliamentarian. So, essentially, okay.
Who were bullish on the prospect.
No, enough. I'm listening to George Reed all day. So she's acting like, oh my God, it's done. It's a done deal. It's game over, right? Oh no. What are the Democrats going to do now? This is devastating. It's a disaster. No, it's not. The Senate parliamentarian is it's an advisory role. Okay, it's just there to give an opinion. Okay, it's not there to give binding decisions. So this is in regards to budget reconciliation, which we already talked about. Remember, I told you that they were going to pull this trick. Because we know who these people are, the Democrats. We know who's in D.C. We knew they were going to do this. They were going to say, yeah, we'll do like the stimulus checks, which are already reduced by $600, but $15 minimum wage, oh no, we can't do that. And what's the justification? Well, they're saying now that, to do it through budget reconciliation, it has to meet certain requirements under the Byrd rule, right? And the Senate parliamentarian is telling them now, no, that doesn't work. You can't do it. Yeah, but it doesn't matter because you can override what the Senate parliamentarian says. Okay, so bear with me. This is the piece of legislation. I think Sirota posted this, right? So, I mean, you can see here, it's telling you a motion to waive the Byrd rule or to sustain an appeal of the ruling of the chair on a point of order raised under the Byrd rule requires the affirmative vote of 3/5 of the membership, 60 senators if no seats are vacant. So do you know what that means? That means if Kamala Harris says, no, we don't care what the parliamentarian says, we're still going to go forward, we're going to push the $15 minimum wage, she can do that. And to override that, you would need 60 votes in the Senate. You're not going to find those 60 votes, so which means that they can get away with it. They can do it. They can give you the $15 minimum wage if they really want to, but they're not going to. And I'm not saying that as conjecture. No, they're saying we're not going to overrule or override what the Senate parliamentarian said, who again is not an elected official. Their opinion is just advisory. It's non-binding. It's not legal. It's unbelievable. This is unreal, man. This is unbelievable. So now you have a joint letter that was written by Ro Khanna and 22 other House Democrats, okay, calling on the White House to ignore the parliamentarian, right, as we're talking about, and to go forward with the $15 minimum wage, to put that in the COVID relief bill. Now, I'm just going to read it to you very quickly, okay? So it says, Dear President Biden and Vice President Harris, as the U.S. continues to battle dual economic and public health crises, it is more important now than ever that we deliver relief to Americans. 81 million people cast their ballots to elect you on a platform that called for a $15 minimum wage. We urge you to keep that promise and call on the presiding officer of the Senate to refute that. The presiding officer of the Senate, that's Kamala Harris, okay? And call on the presiding officer of the Senate to refute the Senate parliamentarian's advice. Remember, it's just advice on a Byrd rule point of order, and maintain the $15 minimum wage provision in the American Rescue Plan. This is significant historical precedent. In 1967, I want to say something here before I can keep reading. The White House Chief of Staff, Ron Kane, he was on with Joy Reid, and she asked him, like, has this ever been done before, like overriding the advice from the Senate parliamentarian? And he's like, yeah, I don't know if it's ever been done before, but we're not doing it. You liar, you lying motherfucker. You know that it's been done before many times. You know that. You goddamn well know that. So we'll get to Ron Klain in a second. Did I say Kane? I'm mixing up with the former ambassador of the U.S. to Denmark, who's stealing oil in Syria now. He's one of the founders of Delta Crescent. His name's Kane. I meant Klain. You know, I get my war criminals mixed up from time to time. You'll excuse me. So anyway, he's giving you examples here. In 1967, Vice President Humphrey disregarded the parliamentarian's advice while pushing to reduce the filibuster threshold from 2/3 of those present to 3/5. Vice President Humphrey did the same again in 1969. Ultimately, Republican VP Rockefeller partnered with future VP Mondale and succeeded in 1975. Again, refuting the parliamentarian. Okay, so you have historical precedents for this. This is not something that, something alien that they're being asked to do, right? Even though they want to play dumb and pretend like it's never been done before. So for the last 12 years, working Americans have struggled to get by under a federal minimum wage that remains stuck at $7.25 per hour. Since its establishment in 1938 as part of the New Deal, the federal minimum wage has never gone this long without a boost. In fact, its purchasing power has fallen by nearly 25% due to inflation since its last increase in 2009 under Obama, remember? As you know, this policy has disproportionately hurt women and Black and brown workers. Women make up nearly 60% of hourly workers making less than $15 an hour, despite comprising only 50% of the overall hourly workforce. But hey, man, I just want to interject here very quickly. You know, I look, I don't agree with Ro Khanna. I don't agree with him. I'm sorry. You know, it doesn't matter that a $15 minimum wage would help a lot of women, because now there's a female vice president, right? And that's more important. And there's also a female heading who's now the director of national intelligence. That's more important. It's also more important to get someone like Neera Tanden to head the OMB. Then we have the first female director of the OMB, right? And then we'll also have the first deputy director of the OMB, Shalanda, right? And then you also have the first secretary of the Treasury Secretary, who's also a woman, right? That's more important. Why would you actually, you know, improve the lives of women? No. We need more women in key positions who do nothing for the vast majority of other women, right? That's more important. That's way more important. Why, you know, let's do that first. And maybe like sometime in a few decades, we actually improve living conditions for women. Maybe, right? Wow. So the disparate impact is even starker among black and brown workers, who make up only 36% of the hourly workforce, yet work in nearly half of all jobs earning less than $15 per hour. We must act now to prevent tens of millions of hardworking Americans from being underpaid any longer. The outdated and complex Byrd rule rooted in restricting progress must not be an impediment to improving people's lives. You have the authority to deliver a raise for millions of Americans. Thank you for your consideration. Yeah, he has the authority, right? Kamala Harris and Joe Biden can do this. Do they want to? No. Okay. So you can see here when Joy Reid is talking to Klain, right? I want to get you the exact part where they talk about it. Here we go. So Joy Reid asks the White House Chief of Staff this question. Pay attention.
Can't the vice president override the parliamentarian? Hasn't that happened in the past?
Not sure if it's ever happened in the past. Certainly that's not something we would do. We're going to honor the rules of the Senate and work within that system to get this bill passed. This is a $1.9 trillion package that is vital to getting this country in a position to crush the virus, in a position to get people vaccinated, in a position to get the schools open, and to help all those people that you talked about at the start of the show. We are going to get this package.
So you see, he's a lying dog-faced pony soldier. He's a lying dog-faced pony soldier. You see how he just lied? Said, I don't know if this is done before, but we're going to work with the rules of the Senate. Wait, you're the lawmakers. I mean, okay, not him specifically claimed, but you know, we're talking about lawmakers here, right? They know the rules. They can change the rules. They can override them if they want to. In this case, they're choosing not to. And he's telling you, we're choosing not to. And he's lying on top of it, saying there's no precedence for this, or it's not been done before. He doesn't know. What do you mean you don't know? You're the fucking White House Chief of Staff. If I know this shit, you think he doesn't know this shit? Outrageous. What? Outrageous. And then he changes the subject. Oh, we got to deliver relief and, you know, all these people that you talked about, but not $15 minimum wage, right? I'm going to go off and talk about other nice things, but not the thing you asked me about. Oh, they're good, huh? So, hold on. We're not done. We're not done, right? Every news story is just shoveling through bullshit. That's all it is, right? We got to go one scoop at a time, right? We got to go one scoop at a time. Go point by point. So, over here, okay, you have people who are going to say now that, well, Joe Manchin, for example, right? Who, by the way, is opposed to Neera Tanden's nomination. He's imperiled her nomination now. What a shame. He's also opposed to this. And, you know, there's an argument being made now that, okay, well, look, it's not just about what Joe Biden wants and what, you know, Kamala Harris wants. It's like even if they chose to override the Senate parliamentarian and keep the $15 minimum wage in the relief bill and get that done through budget reconciliation, They're saying, well, look, there's not enough votes for it to get through anyway. Okay, now here is why that's a bullshit argument. Okay, you don't want to know why? Because just as I told you that, coincidentally, one of the same people, Joe Manchin, he doesn't want Neera Tanden confirmed to be the head of the OMB, the Office of Management and Budget, right? He's against her confirmation. And because of that, there's been a scandal. You had Rachel Maddow even calling him a sexist, right? They were going, oh my God, you hate women. That's why you don't like Neera Tanden. I mean, Joe Manchin is not exactly a nice person either, right? But they conveniently ignore all of the legitimately crappy stuff about Neera Tanden. And they try to make it about sexism. No, it's not about that. She's a warmonger. She's a criminal. I mean, she's taken millions from the Emirates. She's a Zion. I mean, I'm not going to go through her whole record. We've done that. But my point here is that when it comes to Neera Tanden, they're ready to fight. Joe Biden's administration is ready to fight, even though the votes aren't there. Okay? And in the same video that I just showed you, in the same interview right now with Klain and with Reed, pay attention to what he says about Neera Tanden, right? Also, with her nomination being imperiled, okay? So pay attention to what he says here.
Would be a superb budget director. She'd be one of the most outstanding budget directors we've had. She knows policy. She knows all the how to get something done in Washington. She's a great candidate for the job. And certainly we're fighting our guts out to get her confirmed.
You heard that?
And, I mean, Republicans don't care about that. I think
You heard that, huh? We're fighting our guts out. You heard it, huh?
She's a great candidate for the job. And certainly we're fighting our guts out to get her confirmed.
Well, that's great. That's wonderful that you're fighting your guts out to get this war criminal, corrupt swamp creature to head the OMB. How about you fight your guts out to get the $15 minimum wage passed? How about that one? Oh, you forgot about that, right? What about that? Are you not going to fight your guts out for that? No, Neera Tanden is more important than the $15 minimum wage. Remind me very briefly, when Joe Biden ran for president, it's just not that long ago, okay? Was getting Neera Tanden confirmed as the head of the OMB on his policy platform, or was the $15 minimum wage on his policy platform? Which one of those things takes precedence? Which one has a higher priority, do you think? The campaign promise that he's going to give you a $15 minimum wage, or getting Neera Tanden confirmed to head the OMB? Because I'm seeing from the White House chief of staff, at the very least, but I'll get into more, a very, very stark difference in rhetoric and in motivation, right? Regarding the two issues. So we have two scenarios. We have two issues that need to get through the Senate. Both of them are lacking some votes. For Neera Tanden, they say we're going to fight our guts out. For the $15 minimum wage, we're going to work within the rules of the Senate. We don't want to override the Senate parliamentarian. Wow. So Joe Biden is fighting harder. Joe Biden's administration is putting in more energy and work to get Neera Tanden, whose idea of, fixing the deficit is to invade Arabs and make them pay the United States with their oil, to become the head of the Office of Management and Budget. But when it comes to the $15 minimum wage, when it comes to lifting millions of people out of poverty, and as we saw in the letter from Ro Khanna, improving the living conditions, improving the lives of particularly people of color, right? But anyone who's making the minimum wage, that we're just not, the energy's not there. Sorry, our hands are tied. Wow. They screwed you. Oh, they just keep coming with the hits, don't they? They just keep coming with the hits. So Ilhan Omar, at least, you know what she tweeted? Or not tweeted, excuse me, but she's said that she wants to fire the Senate parliamentarian. See, that's what I'm talking about. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. By the way, that's a thing you can do. Apparently, you can fire the Senate parliamentarian, which once again just speaks as to how meaningless their. Let's put it a bit more diplomatically, shall we? Which speaks to how how maneuverable their opinion is. Okay, you can go around it. You don't actually have to listen to them. You can, in fact, fire them. You can fire them. They're not elected officials. What they say is not legally binding. It's just an opinion. But the Biden administration is choosing specifically not to go that route, and they're giving you this excuse of, look at Joe Biden. He's just so powerless. He just can't do it. The votes are not there. Oh no, the Senate parliamentarian, which most Americans have no fucking clue what that even is. What I mean, the word parliamentarian, what is it even doing in the context of U.S. politics? Most Americans don't even know what that is. They don't even know who that is. By the way, there's an excellent article. Who's this by again? Just you'll give me 1 second to find it because it's really really good. About this topic specifically, right? It's in The Guardian, okay? And it was written by it was written by David Sirota as well. Okay. I guess that was him. So yeah, I think that might be him. I'm not sure because I have multiple articles pulled up. I think it was him. Yeah. So he breaks it down very well, and as I said, he posted also on Twitter the congressional this what I read to you earlier, the budget reconciliation process from the Senate's Byrd Rule. Right. This was updated on December 1st, 2020. So it's just 3 months ago, and they're telling you you need 60 votes to override it if they went through with it. So there's no danger of like the Republicans suddenly ruining Biden's benevolent plan to give you a minimum wage. No. Joe Biden is choosing on purpose not to do this shit. And I just want to again remind you of how they sold you Joe Biden. Do you remember during the campaign? Oh, that lovely campaign. Deep breaths, everyone. Do you remember how we kept hearing, oh no, Bernie Sanders, he's never passed anything in the Senate. He's a lousy senator. He doesn't know how to do anything. Look at Joe Biden. Joe Biden, he knows how to get things done, right? Joe Biden can get things done. That was the catchphrase, right? That's his selling point. Joe Biden, he can reach across both sides of the aisle, right? He can give hand jobs on both sides at the same time, cross-armed. He's so good, as a matter of fact, that he was even bragging about working with segregationists, right? Like he's even proud that he can go as far right as you want, right? He can even work with segregationists. And even that did not apparently cost him his campaign. Incredible, right? In 2021. So the point was, Joe Biden, he's been a senator, he's been in Congress, his entire adult life. You remember when he was much younger, he said, I wanted to prostitute myself, but they told me come back later. Well, here he is. He's here. Their point was Joe Biden's been in government his entire life. He knows everyone, which is a really diplomatic and nice way of saying he's corrupt as fuck. Okay, I'm translating for you. Joe Biden is immensely corrupt because he knows everyone and he can please everyone, right? That's how you get into the White House. And so that was a selling point, right? Okay, well now here he is. It worked. Are you happy? Joe Biden has been elected based on your selling points. So where's that magic? Where's this magic of, look, he can reason with Republicans. He can reason with Democrats. He can reach across both sides of the aisle. Where is it? I'm waiting. Don't you think that the $15 minimum wage is something that he should, use his powers for, these reaching across the aisle powers, which we heard so much about? Look, I'm not making this up. I'm not exaggerating. Look, don't you remember these headlines? Look at all these headlines, man. Joe Biden's reach across the aisle premise is the premise. Look at this. This is from June 2019, right? Joe Biden's reach across the aisle premise is the pragmatic approach. Oh, wonderful. Okay. Here's in The Guardian. Okay. Biden plans to reach across the aisle. I mean, this was a catchphrase, essentially. Okay. Can Joe Biden revive bipartisanship as president? I mean, you just, knock yourself out. Just Google that phrase and knock yourself out. You're going to find a million articles about this, right? So this is a huge talking point. Not just from his campaign, but from the media, as I'm showing you. So, and the Democrats, of course, the Democratic establishment. Oh, Bernie Sanders, he can't do it. We need Joe Biden. We need someone who's pragmatic. Okay, where is it? It's not coming, is it? It's not coming. And, by the way, speaking of Bernie Sanders, I mean, even Bernie Sanders himself, he talked about the fact that, if he were elected, they would ask him this, like, how are you going to get Medicare for all passed if all of these senators are against you? If, they're like, what are you going to do essentially to get these policies passed? Green New Deal, whatever it is that's on your platform, if the Senate is against you? How are you going to get things done if there's Mitch McConnell, right? They kept bringing up Mitch McConnell. So Bernie Sanders, his answer was that, well, you pressure politicians, you go to their home state, you rally the people, right? You pressure them. It's true. It's a good point. That's what you should do. That's definitely what you should do. You should call out people, especially as the president. I mean, put this into context for 1 second. We're not just talking about any president. We're talking about the most powerful president on the planet, or one of the most powerful presidents on the planet, if you want to be technical about it. But I still think the former is more true. You're telling me the most powerful president on the planet can't pressure Joe Manchin, or can't pressure any given senator to get one of his core policies through? Are you really going to make that argument to me now? Really? Why was it so important then to get rid of Trump? I thought that Joe Biden's going to restore dignity and do all these nice things. What's the point if he's useless? I'm confused here. When it's suitable, Trump is an existential threat. That's how powerful the office of the presidency is, right? That you can bring forward the apocalypse, apparently, if you put the wrong person in that office. But when you finally get the one that they want, Joe Biden, oh no, I'm sorry, he's too powerless. He can't do anything. It's like, the House, the Senate parliamentarian ruled against it. We're sorry. What? There are 2 senators standing in the way. We're sorry. Oh, but for near attendant, we're going to go balls to the wall. We're going to fight our guts out. The hypocrisy is so fucking staggering. It's unbelievable. It's really unbelievable. And by the way, Sirota, he actually cites one good thing, a historical example here, from, when is this? What year is this? 64, right? So Johnson's trying to pass Medicare, and you have two conservative Democratic senators. It's all the same party, right? They're all right wing. Let's not forget that. Who threatened to take down the legislation over a tax issue. Okay, and so I mean, just to get to the end of the story, they asked. Okay, here you go. So they asked Smathers why he switched his vote at the last second and salvaged the Medicare proposal in 64, and he responded simply, "Lyndon told me to." Oh, would you look at that? Apparently, you can actually leverage the office of the presidency against senators who are reluctant to pass your legislation and get them to change their minds. Incredible how that works, right? Amazing. Amazing. Wow. Let's just conclude. Shall we conclude? The Democrats scammed you. If you're surprised by that, I'm surprised you're surprised. But they're scamming you, okay? So they're willing to put in more effort. Joe Biden is willing to put in more effort to let near attendant, this swamp creature who thinks invading Arabs for oil is a way to fix the deficit. She's an imperialist. Who thinks that, taking millions from big tech corporations and foreign powers and being a lapdog for Hillary Clinton is a good choice for the OMB. He will fight his guts out for her. That's what the administration is going to do. And keep in mind, remember, they even postponed two of those committee votes, right? It's not even gotten to the Senate yet. They even postponed the committee votes. They're like, no, hold on. We need to make sure we have the votes for near attendant. We can't compromise on near attendant. Oh no, near attendant. And when it comes to the $15 minimum wage, which was perhaps one of the only, really, I mean, this is no pun intended. It's the bare minimum. Even we all know. I mean, it goes without saying, $15 is not enough, right? We know this. It should be in the $22, $25 range, and even then, you're still getting exploited. But my point here is that this is one of the only things that was on his platform that was taken from Bernie Sanders, and immediately he's showing you, yeah, I'm not going to do anything about it, and he's coming up with the most lame crap. Which, I mean, a child could, okay, not a child perhaps, but, I mean, if you can break it down pretty simply that, this is the Senate parliamentarian is not an elected official. Their word is not legally binding. You can override them, right? Oh, no, we can't do that. Oh no, Joe Biden, you know, all those things we said about him, how effective he is as a legislator, all those years in Congress, all his experience. He knows how to get things done. He can reach across the aisle. Oh no, he can't do it all of a sudden. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Now that he's more powerful than anyone in the fucking planet, I'm sorry. All of a sudden, Joe Biden, he doesn't know how to negotiate anymore. He just can't do it. We're sorry. Let's go bomb Syria. You motherfuckers. They make me sick. We got 300 people watching. Alhamdulillah. Please make sure you've hit the like button. Throw a couple of shoes at it. This is in Spanish, I believe you say chancla. Is that it? In Arabic, it's shahata. So throw a shahata at it. Throw a slipper, right? Throw a slipper at the like button. Make sure that it helps. You know, it helps with the algorithm. Because YouTube, you know. I'm even afraid to say that because like a robot is going to decode what I'm saying and maybe they have like flags up. Like, did he talk shit about us? Yeah, YouTube censors indie channels. So, you know, and liking, commenting, boosting the algorithm, it helps combat the, it is censorship if you're muzzling people and, you know, making sure their videos are not seen, etc. So it helps. Anyway, we're also streaming on Rockfin, so you should definitely sign up on Rockfin. I'm going to keep promoting the shit out of Rockfin because it's good to be there. Hunter, thank you so much, Hunter, for your lovely tip on Rockfin. Says, as always, much love to you. Much love right back at you, Hunter. I really appreciate it. And thank you also for watching on Rockfin because we also get paid better. All of us, all of indie media gets paid better on Rockfin. There's no censorship nonsense, and we're doing good. Thanks to you guys. So thank you so much. And you should make a free account there. It doesn't cost you nothing. But if you do pay the $10 a month, it goes to like everybody. I mean, it's like if you go and watch someone's video, they're gonna get paid for that from that subscription. Does that make sense? So anyway, I think the fact that we have an alternative is reason enough on its own. Don't worry, we're not done with the malarkey. We're getting to the malarkey. I just like to read a couple of the super chats in between. I don't want to keep you guys waiting too long. You know, so. Dino says, Richard is educated. Love you, bro. Keep up the great work. Thank you. I'm very humbled and I really appreciate that very much. Thank you so much. And Chris says, they're still talking about Bush Senior's read my lips gap. Old Sleepy Joe is dropping those every 20 minutes. Good luck in 2022, numbskulls. Yeah, I mean, Democrats love to lose, right? Again, that's kind of like a false dichotomy because they're all in the same gang. It's all one club. But yeah, they love to lose, right? And it's going to be the same old shit. They're going to say, "Oh my God, look, we just couldn't do it at the time." And you know, AOC and all of them, they'll make excuses. Now, look, I for the sake of being a little fair, we have to be fair, man. I mean, look, this letter over here. Okay, I'm just going to say one last thing about this crap. But this letter, which they wrote. Okay, over here, because I wanted to say this before, and I might as well say it now. This letter over here, which Ro Khanna wrote, and it was co-signed by 22 others. Okay, so you can see there's Cori Bush, there's Jamal Bowman, Rashida Tlaib, you have Ilhan Omar, and you also got AOC. You have Richie Torres, our favorite new Zionist for New York's the 15th or 16th congressional. I don't know. I've done a couple of videos on him. We got Pramila Jayapal. We got Barbara Lee. So, you know, we got 22 other somewhat progressive who've co-signed this. Now, my question to you is, my point here is that, do you consider this pushing Joe Biden left? I mean, if they hadn't written the letter, we'd still be complaining, and rightfully so, because, you know, saying nothing is unacceptable. So here they've sort of said something, right? They've written a joint letter. Okay, that's a start. That's a start. Does this count as pushing him left, though? I don't know. I mean, it's a start, but if you ask me personally, on this list of names over here, I mean, some of these people are very, very popular. They have huge platforms, right? I mean, I'm not sure everyone knows all of these House Democrats, but AOC is well known. She's a household name. I'd say the same for, you know, Ilhan Omar, and the squad, you know, in general, they're household names. They have huge platforms, right? If they want to go into a live stream on Twitch, they can get 500,000 people on that. I mean, if they said, like, you know, let's go on strike, or let's do a rent strike, let's do a debt strike, let's do some form, any form. Let's all throw paint at the fucking wall. I don't know. Let's do some form of collective action to protest Joe Biden's refusal to override the Senate parliamentarian. Don't you think that someone with a huge platform should be doing that? Because, like, you know, don't you care about giving people good wages? I don't understand. Like, if your entire job is literally to serve your constituents and serve the American people, you have literally nothing else to do. You go into work, that's your job. It's make my life better. Make the lives, not me personally, I'm not American, but make the lives of Americans better, right? So that's your job. You're elected to do that and only that. Why would you not do something like using your platform to, I don't know, inspire some sort of collective action if nothing else works? Wouldn't you use every tool, every means available? Is that asking too much? Are we asking for the fucking moon here? Apparently, in their eyes, it is. You know, if you dare even ask that, it's like, oh my God, you're a sexist. What are you smoking, you motherfuckers? Did you read the letter or not? I mean, Ro Khanna is saying in the letter that this would immensely help specifically women and specifically black and brown people in general, right? Because they are being more exploited than anyone else. No surprise there. Absolutely no surprise there. So why don't we haul some fucking ass and do something about that, right? Wouldn't you use as much political capital that you can possibly muster? I don't know. I mean, yes, again, this letter, that's good, but Joe Biden, his White House chief of staff is saying they're not going to do anything. So you need to do something more. You have to hold the motherfucker accountable. No? Why is this a foreign concept? Like, I really don't understand that. For example, let me just give you an example. A few weeks ago, oh, now it's a few months, we're already in March, but a few months ago in the UK Parliament, okay, you had, for example, the Spy Cops Bill, the CHIS Bill, which is covert human and intelligence sources. Essentially what it does, it legalizes torture for undercover cops, right? Not just torture, any crime. Like they can commit any crime. And I've done a couple of videos on that. Just look up Spy Cops Bill on my channel, or the Overseas Operations Bill. In both cases, you've had people in the Labour Party who refused to abstain, because what Keir Starmer did is he said, I want everyone to abstain from voting, which is, I mean, it's essentially just letting the legislation through, right? Because the Tories, they're the ones who put it forward. They're all going to vote yes. And you're just abstaining and not opposing this bill. It's outrageous. And you had a few people in the party who did vote against the bill, right? So they refused to listen to their party leader. They went against, they defied the whip, okay? They got suspended for it. Why? Because they have a fucking spine. That's what you do. You don't just blindly follow the party leader, okay? You got to have a spine. You got to stick up for, you know, I mean, the goddamn basic humanity of the people in your country as a politician. Yes, I know that's a rarity, obviously. But there are some people who have spines. And, you know, just blindly going along with this, I mean, come on, man. There needs to be some friction over this. I mean, if you're not going to hold Joe Biden accountable over this, what are you going to hold him accountable over? They haven't said shit about him bombing Syria. I mean, they're okay. Again, it's good they wrote the letter. I'm saying it's good. It's a good start, but it's not enough because Joe Biden's not listening. He's saying they don't care. They're not going to defy, you know, the Senate parliamentarian, which is the most garbage excuse I've ever heard. And you're just going to let him get away with that? You're going to let him get away with lying about the checks? Yeah, apparently they are. Apparently they are, man. I hope I'm wrong. I hope they do something different, but you know. So, just excuse me one second. Graham is inviting me over on his show. He wants me to go talk about Syria, and I think he's live right now. So we might do a little cross action over there. So I'm coordinating with him, right? So Zawaldo says, bow down to the king and president in brackets. Yeah, that's what they want you to do to Joe Biden, right? They want you to bow down to Joe Biden like he's some kind of infallible being. It's preposterous. It's really preposterous. Okay, so I think we got some other super chats over here that I want to read to you. I want to thank you guys for that. We got one over here from Morgan Burns. Morgan, thank you so much for your donation. Says, Richie, you know the thing. Love your energy and humor. Isn't overruling the parliamentarian within the rules of the Senate? Fuck these people. So I'm assuming that you've probably heard me answer your question before I saw it. Yeah, of course, it's easily. It doesn't even require anything. You just Kamala Harris has to do it. That's it. She's the presiding officer. She just says, "Yeah, I'm overriding you, bitch. Let's go." No, she won't do it. Probably without the expletives. But there you go. So we got one person to sign up on Patreon. Someone just joined on Patreon. I want to give a huge shout out to Bob Do. Bob Do, thank you so much. You're owed a crab dance, which I will play for you right now. Y'all show some love to Bob Do.
Clap for that, you stupid bastard. And Corn Pop was a bad dude, and he ran a bunch of bad boys.
Listen, fuckhead, you have fucking crossed the line, claiming I'm the enemy. You got that, you goddamn son of a bitch?
I don't give a fuck what you think, bitch.
Good morning. Sunday morning.
Cut that bitch off.
Why you texting? Why? You're getting nervous, man. Calm down. It's okay. Okay.
Suck my dick and choke on it. I yield my time. Fuck you.
Thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate that. If you would like me to play another crab dance, please go ahead and join on Patreon, or even better, on Rockfin. On Patreon, you can donate as much as you like. Again, there's no paywall or anything. I do everything for free. I think news should be accessible to everyone. And on Patreon, you can donate as much as you like or as little as you like, whatever. And I will play crab dance for everyone who joins. And same thing on Rockfin. Rockfin, I think, is even better because, again, it's like YouTube, Patreon roll into one without the bullshit. It's free, so you don't even have to do anything. Rockfin.com/RichardMedhurst. And, you know, if anyone endorses or subscribes on Rockfin, you get everyone's premium. That includes Jimmy Dore and everyone you're seeing on the screen, right? Graham Elwood, everyone. And it's a great way to support independent media. So there you go. And thank you very much for that, Bob Do. So, yeah, so let's keep going, man. And of course, if you want to donate, you can do on Venmo and CashApp, PayPal, whatever's good for you. Again, I always feel like I have to hurry up with the show plugging because I want to do the news and you know the thing. So, okay, let me just close this one. Right. Okay. Hold on. There you go. So, no one has condemned Joe Biden for bombing Syria. Most of the so-called squad have been completely silent. They won't even acknowledge it, which is incredible. You know, again, if there's a list of things where you should, you know, which warrant a reaction and condemnation, I think bombing another country is high up there, and yet nothing from AOC, nothing from you know, Jamal Bowman, whether you consider him part of the squad or not, I don't know, but apparently they do. Cori Bush. There's nothing from Rashida Tlaib. There's nothing from Ayanna Pressley. Ilhan Omar and Ro Khan, I think, are the only ones or from the progressives in the Democratic Party who've actually said something. I'm actually surprised that Ilhan Omar said something. But Tulsi Gabbard has now issued her own statement. Now, if I recall correctly, she's not running. You know, she's not in Congress anymore. She's decided not to run for another term. And you know, I want to play you the video that she posted because she doesn't just talk about the airstrike. She talks about the United States and more broadly the West. There are brutal policies against Syria. So not just this bombing, right? Because, I mean, as big of an atrocity as it is still a continuation of Obama, of Trump. And I mentioned to you that Biden is not just bombing Syria. He's continuing sanctions. He's continuing to steal the oil. And so I want to play you what she said, because I think her statement was very good.
I am glad to hear that some of my former colleagues in Congress are speaking out against the recent unconstitutional airstrikes in Syria. But they're ignoring the bigger issue. The regime change war the United States continues to wage in Syria using Al-Qaeda, al-Nusra, HTS terrorists as our proxy ground force, and who now occupy and control the city of Idlib, imposing Sharia law and cleansing the area of most Christians and religious minorities. The Biden administration continues to use our military to illegally occupy northeastern Syria to, quote, take the oil, as Trump so crassly but honestly put it, violating international law. A modern-day siege of draconian embargo and sanctions, similar to what the Saudi-U.S. alliance employed in Yemen, is causing death and suffering for millions of innocent Syrians, depriving them of things like food, medicine, clean water, energy, warmth, and making it impossible for the Syrian people to try to begin to rebuild their war-torn country.
All right, so I mean that was straight to the point, right? Now, I mean, I criticized Tulsi Gabbard pretty harshly when she endorsed Biden, because that pissed me off. I did the same thing with Bernie Sanders. I know they have like a contractual obligation because they ran inside the DNC, which I think is the biggest scam of all time. It's like, oh yeah, you know, if we screw you over, which we're legally allowed to do because that's what a court decided, since we're a private corporation, you still have to endorse our pick. How democratic. Anyway, so I mean, I criticize her heavily for that, but here, man, I mean, look, she's spitting facts. I mean, she's caught a lot of flack before. You know, she went to Syria once, and you know, do you remember that time when Barry Weiss, who used to work for the New York Times, she went on Joe Rogan, and then she just like randomly starts calling Tulsi an Assad toady, and then she doesn't even know what toady means. She's like, yeah, it's just, I don't know, you know, can you Google that for me? Like, what does that even mean? You know, I know what it means. It means that, you know, if you go into Syria to see what happens, what's going on, you know, the right way, the legal way, that's not allowed. But if you go in there illegally, like John McCain, and you meet with a bunch of terrorists and give them money from U.S. taxpayers, then you're not an Assad toady. Okay, then you're one of us. You get it? That's the difference. So, you know, Tulsi Gabbard, she's caught a lot of shit for that before, right? And because she dares to speak out about the truth. This is the whole truth, nothing but the truth, what you just said. So, I mean, a couple of points, right? She said, yeah, it's good that some people are calling out the airstrikes, but it's not everything. It's not. And the sanctions, for example, are extremely brutal. So, I mean, you've had various sanctions ever since Obama. Obama was also putting sanctions on Syria, right? That's if it kills people and hurts people, they'll do it, right? But the Caesar Act sanctions, which Trump used in 2020, June 2020, I mean, those were taking it to the next level, right? And I mean, this is just one piece. I mean, this is just one random piece. Again, Foreign Policy magazine, not exactly, you know, are the best here, but they do speak some truth in this piece, and this is from December 2nd. And you know, they compared it to how Iraqis were starved under Saddam. Do you remember Madeleine Albright being asked like if she thought it was worth it that 500,000 children died in Iraq because of U.S. sanctions, that was acceptable, that was worth it? And she's like, yeah. And then, you know, Anna Kasparian from the Young Turks goes and interviews her and acts like she just met her you know, her idol. It's unbelievable. So, you know, they go into this a lot, and you know, I've gone into sanctions with you guys many times, specifically about Syria, and you know, you had this also from December 2020. Syria's bread lines are so long that children have to skip school to wait in them. This is from Washington Post, right? So I mean, this is horrendous, right? It's really bad. On so many fronts, and it just, I don't think people understand. Syria, since the 1990s, started going on a path of becoming self-sufficient. So, Mesopotamia, the Levant, this region, I mean, it's not just where agriculture was literally invented thousands of years ago, but it's very fertile soil. Syria does not have a problem growing food, right? Yes, there was drought for a couple of years. That's definitely an issue sometimes, definitely an issue. And nonetheless, my point is that from the 1990s, you still had Syria becoming more and more self-sufficient, specifically in wheat, for example, right? So Syria had so much wheat that it was able to export wheat. It had an excess of it, right? It was exporting wheat to Italy, right? So it didn't have a problem. It didn't have bread lines until these sanctions came along. So do you see how sad that is? That this war has taken a country that had an excess of wheat and reduced it to bread lines because of US sanctions, because of Western imperialism and bombs. What the fuck is that? I mean, you want to come here and tell me that's an improvement? Whose lives are you improving with that? How has 10 years of war improved anyone's lives? Can you explain that to me? No, of course they can't explain it because they're not going to own up to it. And so that's just one aspect of it. Never mind the lira, the Syrian pound, which is called the lira. So I mean, I can tell you myself, like if you went in 2010 or something, right before the war, like €1, $1, that would give you about 65 lira, right? 65 lira. I mean, you can buy. I'm going to give you in terms of junk food. You could buy a can of Coke or Bebzi for, I don't know, 15 to 25 lira, depending on which corner shop you went to, or, a bag of chips for like 10 lira. I mean, and now, that 65 lira is gone up to 1,400, right? So $1 or €1 gets you 1,400 lira now because of the hyperinflation. It's obscene, right? So the money is worthless now. When people were okay, they were getting by. Now it's just decimated. So my point is, it's not just in terms of the resources. You actually have nothing that's being stored or grown because the country's upside down because of the war, but also the currency itself. The banking sector is sanctioned. Lebanon's banks are also under crisis, and you have a lot of businesses in Syria, which Lebanon is like a hub that all Syrian business would go through, especially during the war, right? But they've always been interconnected, of course, because of how close they are to each other, and because of the economic crisis in Lebanon. You have a lot of money from Syrian businesses trapped there as well. So that's adding to it on top of the sanctions. And it's horrible, right? So it's good that Tulsi Gabbard is actually acknowledging that, because most people won't acknowledge that. And that's a Trump policy, right? So they would criticize Trump for almost everything. But when it comes to imperialism, no, they won't actually criticize Trump, right? There's no effort, of course, under Biden to remove those sanctions. Why would he? He said he'd keep them. We know that. We looked at this many times. And, she also talks about Idlib, for example, northern Syria. So, I'm just going to pull this up on the map for you. Idlib is on the Turkish border in the north, and it's not just a city. It's also a governorate, a province. But, this is basically, it's been called, the largest, no, hold on. Yeah, look, so I'm going to put on a satellite view. So look, this is northern Syria, right? And this entire region of Idlib, I mean, it's under jihadist control right now. Tulsi Gabbard, she mentioned HTS. HTS is Hayat Tahrir al-Sham. And, this is just basically a rebranding of Al-Qaeda. I don't mean that I'm not saying that as hyperbole. No, it's actually rebranded. They just changed the name, and it has a little less foreign fighters in it, right? But they're still jihadists. So you have HTS who control it mostly, and I think you have, I don't know what the figures are right now, but it's estimated around 20,000. You have around 20,000 jihadist fighters that are holed up in Idlib, and of course Turkey's supporting them and shielding them, and it's it's like not even talked about, right? It's not even talked about. And they're a tool. They're being used by, I mean, it would be bad enough if it was just Turkey, which is extremely concerning since they're a NATO ally. I wonder, how come no one in NATO is complaining that Turkey is helping shield Idlib and protecting all these jihadist groups? It's astonishing, right? But on top of it, you have the CIA-backed ones. You have the British who are involved in the mix as well. Everyone's doing their part, and this is basically the last jihadist stronghold in Syria, and no one talks about that either. That this is basically being used as a thorn in the side of Syria. And on top of that, over here in the northeast, so you have the two provinces, Al Hasake over here, and then Deir Zor. You got all the oil fields over here, right? So you have the Omar oil fields, which are down in Deir Zor, and then over here, right at the end, right at the end of Hasake province, you have another load of oil fields, right? The biggest ones, at least. So, these are where you have all the U.S. bases. I mean, the U.S., they have a base down here in Tenef. Hold on, let me zoom out a second. Right. So they got one over here at El Tenef. And like this swath over here, basically this little enclave, this is controlled by not just the U.S., but like whatever is left of the allegedly Free Syrian Army. They have an Air Force base over there, an air base. And then, wherever there's oil, wherever the Kurds are, that's where you'll find the American bases. And, the Biden administration comes along and says, oh no, the oil is not our priority. We're not there to protect the oil, but we're going to keep our troops coincidentally exactly where the oil is, Wow. Oh, okay. So they're just, sightseeing. Is that it? Coincidentally, it's not just about the oil. This is the breadbasket region. So, we were just talking about wheat, for example, lentils, cotton. Where do you think all this is grown? Right there. Okay, so this is not just the where you'll find all of Syria's oil. It's also where you'll find all of the agricultural sector. And it's under occupation by the Americans. So that's just great, right? That's just wonderful. So this entire region here is, occupied by the Americans and the Kurdish-led SDF, and then you have Idlib over here, which is occupied by a bunch of jihadists, and Turkey also scattered all across the northern border here. So that's wonderful. And you have Israel down here, which keeps going in through Qanitra, which is just over the Golan Heights, and bombing Syria every week. They bombed Syria again last night. We'll get into that in a second. So, Syria being attacked from all fronts, basically, right? And they want you to believe that that's a civil war. Yeah, okay, sure thing. Yeah. So, I again, just going back to Tulsi Gabbard, I respect the fact that she recognizes these things at the very least, that she actually speaks out against them, because, it's you won't hear that from anyone else. You won't hear that from anyone else in Congress, right? I mean, just look at how despicable they are. AOC, for example, she doesn't even recognize, she doesn't even acknowledge, she doesn't even condemn she doesn't even acknowledge, never mind condemn the fact that Joe Biden bombed my country or bombed any country. I mean, I would equally be outraged if it were another country, right? If it were Iran or if it were any other country. They just say nothing. If they won't say anything about that, how do you expect them to fight for you, man? Like, it's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. So with that said, guys, just give me. So again, I mean, like, I think that this is one of the reasons. I don't think it's the main one, but it's one of the reasons that Tulsi Gabbard got shat on by the Democrats, right? So Hillary Clinton was calling her a Russian agent and all this nonsense, and she was being groomed by the Russians. I mean, just like think how preposterous that is. If I recall correctly, Tulsi Gabbard, she has 16 years in the National Guard. She's a major. Jesus Christ. I mean, she's like just a few ranks away from becoming a general. And she was on the House Armed Services Committee. Like, she's probably been vetted by every single agency more times than you could count. And you're saying she's being groomed by the Russians. what are you even talking about? Like, it's just so preposterous. But anyway, I mean, I don't think this is about personalities right here. Tulsi Gabbard spitting facts. Rand Paul, for example, again, I don't think you can really compare Rand Paul and Tulsi Gabbard. That's not my point. But a few weeks ago, Rand Paul, he grilled Blinken in the Senate confirmation hearing when he was being confirmed for Secretary of State. He grilled him over, supporting all these regime change wars, right, in Libya. And he wanted to interfere more in Syria under Obama. I mean, I don't like anything that Rand Paul says. Like, I've done videos about him. He wrote like a book, something called The Case Against Socialism. He went on The View promoting it. It's horrendous. Like, it's just, I don't agree with anything that guy says. But when he grilled Blinken, I mean, he was spitting straight facts. And I'm not going to like say that he's lying just because, most of the other time I don't like what he's saying or something like that. And again, that's not even the case with Tulsi Gabbard. I think Tulsi Gabbard is perhaps more honest than a lot of her colleagues, right? She showed she's not afraid to step out of line and call out Hillary Clinton, calling her the queen of warmongers. Come on, man. You're not going to see that from anyone else. Now, again, I'm just grateful that at least one person recognized what Syrians are going through and calls it out. At least that at the very basic minimum, and not just that bombing, but also the sanctions, the regime change war, the fact that you have so many countries ganged up against us. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't look at this. We have so much goddamn evidence that this is a regime change plot. Okay, only a fool could deny that. Okay, guys. So. With that said, give me a second. I'm going to go on Graham Elwood's show right now, but I think I can maybe... so this is going to be on Rockfin, okay? Let's head on over to Rockfin. I don't know how I can... I'm gonna try and stream it at the same time if you guys aren't there, but we'll be starting in 10-15 minutes, okay? So it's not immediately, and it'll be on Rockfin. So don't go anywhere is my point just yet. I'll tell you when. Okay. So yeah, let me just go through your comments if you guys are here. So we got a super chat over here from Ben Redward. Thank you, Ben. Says if America had strong socialist and communist parties like in the 1930s, monthly $2,000 checks and a $15 minimum wage. Okay, sorry, I balls that up. So if America had strong socialist and communist parties like in the 30s, monthly $2,000 checks and a $15 minimum wage would already be a reality. 100%. Exactly. And I mean, that's what I've been saying the whole time, right? Back then, man, I mean, there was no fear of upsetting politicians. It was like, you're going to give us what we want or we're going to revolt. And, given the context at the time, you just had the Russian Revolution. Well, I mean, we're talking about 1917, right? So it's still, nonetheless, it was, you have to consider that at the time, for the whole world, this was sort of like proof that, you could actually get a communist, government by means of revolt, not by reform. And so it inspired people, right? Not everyone. Again, you have people who diverge, and to this day, you still have people who argue for reform and people who argue for revolt. But my point is that in that context at the time, there were people looking at that and they're like, yo, if you don't give us what we want, we're going to do that shit. You saw what happened in Russia? We're going to do that shit to you. So, and also it's not just that. That's not the only factor. You have to consider also that, people were literally starving. It's the Great Depression. So, I mean, they didn't exactly need motivation from other countries to give them a reason to, come to FDR and say like, yo, you either give us jobs, you give us, what later turned out to be the New Deal, or it's game over, right? And it's amazing that people think FDR is a hero. He did it because he was forced into it, right? Not because he's a good guy. He didn't like wake up and say, oh, I love the working class. No. And as soon as the New Deal passed, ever since, actually, as soon as, I'd rather after he died, if we're being a bit more specific. But, you know, from the moment the guy died, they've been trying to dismantle the New Deal ever since, right? And if they haven't gotten rid of it, you know, explicitly, they do shit like what you're seeing today, right now, where they come in and they're like, oh, yeah, you know, like we're not going to really raise the minimum wage because of the Senate parliamentarian. And, you know, hey, look, man, the federal minimum wage was established so that you raise that shit, you know, in increments, and it goes up with, honestly, it should be tied to worker productivity, given what's happened over the last couple of years, specifically with automation. But you're supposed to raise it and adjust it for inflation. They haven't done that. And even if they're not even telling you it's 15 tomorrow morning, right? So even if Democrats did what they're supposed to do right now, you would only get the $15 in a couple of years. And even right now, it's not enough. Never mind in a few years. They're such bastards. They really are, you know? And anyway, I'm going off on a tangent, but you're definitely right. The socialists and the communists and the working class movements, the CIO, right? The unionists, they would have not taken the shit that you are seeing today. And it's incredible because people always talk about, oh, look how good FDR is. And they don't explain to you what was behind that and how they got that, right? It's a great whitewashing of history. I think it's on purpose because they don't actually want you to know how you pressure politicians. They don't actually want you to know what the secret is. You know, they just give you like some, oh yeah, look FDR, he's so cool, right? He's amazing, right? And no communism allowed. We'll have none of that striking shit. Those general strikes, we'll dead that. You saw what happened to Chris Smalls, right? Amazon. Just one dude in an Amazon warehouse. And he just because he got a few people, he was just starting to there was a little talk of a strike, fucking fired immediately. Ask yourself why. Ask yourself why Amazon was afraid of one guy starting organizing protest. Yeah, it's because it works. That's why they're afraid of that shit. Right? And you should go watch my interview with Dr. Richard Wolff, who I had on the show here. So just look it up in the channel. You know, we talked about the Yellow Vest movement, right? So that's definitely, you know, Americans need to learn a little bit more about French culture for sure, right? So I mean, I went to a French school, but he has French, he has family in France. So you know, we just had a little discussion about the culture of how, you know, people are very open to political debate. It's not something that's taboo. Going on strike is not something that's taboo. As a matter of fact, it's regular. It's something that's encouraged. You know, I just want to give you some anecdotal evidence. Like for me, for example, you know, the teachers, they would go on strike so often that you would come into school and you would check if any of them are absent, right? Okay, I'm not saying every day, but you know, you would just hope that, oh, I hope something is going on. And sometimes you would know in advance, not always, but you would know in advance, right? And it's in solidarity. It wasn't even usually about their pay. It's oh, we're going on strike in solidarity with other groups. And so, you know, the French, they get this. They understand this mentality. We got to get together and we got to do the shit. Americans don't, and not just Americans, but a lot of people around the world, unfortunately. And it's systematic, right? It's something that they brainwash you with. They teach you that no strikes. Just vote for some progressives. They'll do everything. And then, you know, okay, where is it? You know, no, incrementalism. Come this way. Go this way. Don't nothing pro worker. You know, they're so good, man. They're so good. I mean, they're cunning is the right word. They're malicious. Ben, thank you for that comment. Jackson, thank you for the super chat. Says Tim Kaine is outflanking the squad to their left on Syria. Not one progressive outside of Tulsi is calling for repeal of AUMF and Iraq authorization. So definitely, those are two things that we you know, I've been bringing up. And Ilhan Omar, for example, I read your statement. Okay, it's great. It's also great she acknowledged the AUMF, but she's not calling for its repeal, and that's, you know, that's an issue because, well, I mean, she is calling for the repeal, but we're not seeing legislation to get rid of it, because, you know, it's one thing to say, okay, we should get rid of the AUMF. Yeah, but you're a lawmaker. Like you're the one in Congress, not me or your constituents, and people sent you there to advocate on their behalf. So I mean, if you don't take these first steps, who's going to do it? You think Joe Biden is going to come and get rid of the AUMF? No way. So you know, it's on them to take the first step and actually get rid of this stuff. And it's not even a left position necessarily, because I'm pretty sure. Again, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure Rand Paul, for example, who I just told you I disagree with on 99.9% of everything. That guy is pretty anti-war, right? I'm pretty sure he would be for repealing the AUMF. I'm pretty sure, because he knows that it's been used to justify all of these regime change wars, all of the drone strikes, all of the war on terror. So I'm pretty sure he would be okay with that, right? And he's not, he's not on the left, right? So he's not on the left, right? So I think it goes beyond that. And I think this is why it's really important to, again, I'm going on another tangent, but it's not really a tangent. It's good to tell people. This is why it's important to revive the anti-war movement, because I think we might be surprised. Even I was surprised when Rand Paul was grilling him. I mean, of course, Ron Paul was also anti-war, but my point is that I think we might find more people who are anti-war than we think, because, let's be frank here, man. Most people don't want to be sent off to the other side of the planet and get their legs blown off and given some crummy Purple Heart, and then, just so some corporations can build a bunch of swimming pools. That's no one should be doing that. Do you understand? No one should be doing that. And so that's why we need a renewed anti-war movement. And I know there are people going to say, people are going to be like, but the anti-war movement's never gone anywhere. I know what you're saying. I just mean that if you look back at the start of the Iraq War, just in the lead up to it, you had protests everywhere, right? I mean, literally everywhere, all over the world. You had millions of people, just in London alone, millions of people in the streets, millions. And, I know some smart ass is going to come along and say, well, that just shows you that protesting doesn't do anything. Actually, it hurts. It hurts. I don't think that's the takeaway. That's not the right takeaway. The right takeaway is that there are a lot of people who are against wars all over the world. They recognize the evil of it. And we need to bring that back, because, those wars are still here. We're in 2021. The war is still going on, right? The war on terror is still here. These countries are still under occupation. So we should still be protesting, right? Just as they are still killing, we need to be also endeavoring to combat that, and not violently, of course. We need to protest and resist it, because it's not okay. It's not acceptable that, I think as a matter of fact, it's because that thing did not continue that they think they are able to get away with it. That's my point, right? But just to give you an idea, I mean, what is that? 2002, 2003. So how old was I back then? 10, 11. I remember all of that shit. I remember the day they captured Saddam. I remember the day of shock and awe when they invaded. I remember, the Abu Ghraib scandal. I remember all of this, and I remember the protests as well. And that, I think it's because of, how big it was. So, it stayed in my memory. It was a remarkable thing, and it's an example to follow, I think. And I think it also speaks to our shared humanity. Again, I'm not going on some hippie bullshit. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's true. Like you saw, I remember like seeing, wow, look at all these people all over the world. They are against this. That's good. You see my point? So again, just going back to what I meant originally is that, not just across the political spectrum, wherever that may be, not just in the US, but all over the world, I think we need to revive the anti-war movement, because we might find that, and I'm sure we will find that most people are indeed against war, right? That's not something that needs to stay. Nero says, how do we mobilize to destroy the weapons manufacturers? Some Canadians are stopping Raytheon's trucks from leaving the factories. It's not enough. I saw that. We also got in the UK. We also got in the UK Elbit, which is this Israeli company, and they advertise their drones as like battle tested. What they mean by battle tested is that they've murdered Palestinians with them. I mean, that's just so disgusting. And you have lots of activists who work to stop that. And I do think direct action is good. I don't think that it's wrong, but it's not enough, right? Do you get what I'm saying? As you just pointed out, it's not enough. It needs to be expanded and more widespread. You'll excuse me. My mind is a little bit distracted because I'm trying to get. I have to get on Graham Elwood's stream in a second. I'm going to try and put it on here, but I mean, hey, you should really go and sign up on Rockfin. You know what? I'm not going to put it on here because this is an incentive for you to go sign up on Rockfin right now. Again, it's free, so go ahead and do it. And we're going to be talking about Syria, so I'm going to go on with him right now, and I'll keep the stream up. So you just open both windows. Go right ahead and open both windows. So give me 1 second. Just give me 1 second, y'all. Let me do this over here. Okay, hold on. Okay. So I'm gonna give you the link to Graham's Rockfin, and you guys should definitely go on there and watch right now. Okay. So rockfin.com, ROKFIN. Here we go. So I'm going to paste that over here. All right. So Waterfall is saying doesn't show that he's live just yet. I will give you the correct link in a second. I'm just waiting for him to let me in the room. There you go. So just give me 1 second. All right, wonderful. So in the meantime, I again highly and kindly implore you to join Rockfin. And if you can please support the show, support independent journalism, it really, really means a lot. You can do that on PayPal and whatever else is good for you. It's greatly appreciated. Thank you so much. So there's that. And I will read your comments, of course. I'll read your super chats. And other than that, there's also, I'm like trying to juggle 3 things at the same time. Where you should be heading right now. Where you should be heading. I think you can read all the other channels that are there. All the other ones. So there you go, man. I see we got 14 people watching on Rockfin, which is dope, which is great. So thank you for that, because again, we need to increase the number of people on Rockfin. So that's great. And thank you so much for all of your support. It's greatly appreciated. I still have a couple of segments I want to do with you guys. So don't go anywhere. And I'm just waiting for Graham to get back to me. I remember the first time I went on his show, which was how long ago was that? But he said something like, Richard joins us now from the Kremlin basement, and I've been using that joke ever since. I love it, man. I love it. I love it. I'm just reading your comments, huh? So that's why I'm silent. Waterfall says, don't forget about Unity. I don't have my Unity ring. I'm so sorry. That's not gonna fly, man. Unity. You guys saw the Unity drone, right? I showed you the Unity drone, which Claudia made. She did an excellent job at this. It's quite a marvel. Just let me try and find it. These pesky drones, man. They just, you never know. Okay, here we go. I think this is the Unity drone. Are we? Can you see that? No, that's the wrong window. That's the wrong dang window. I got it. You know what sucks? It's like being when you are technically literate and then you're live and you start getting like social anxiety and being a boomer all of a sudden. Nothing against boomers, but it's like, oh, how do I do the button thing again? Here we go. I can pull it up. I can do this. I know I can do this. Okay, hold on. Graham is calling me. He says he doesn't see my camera on. How come he doesn't see my camera on? I think it should work now. I think it should work now. Graham, can you see me? Nope. I don't even see my own camera. That's weird. That's quite bizarre, boy. Okay. I know this must be such an invigorating experience for you guys watching me figure out how to join. I know. No, that's not working either. Weird. Hold on, I have an idea. Also, I think we got a we got a new subscriber on Rockfin. Thank you so much to Dan Fritz. I appreciate it very much. This is a crab dance just for you. And this will also allow me to try and fix things behind the scene before we go live with Graham. So this crab dance, this goes out to Dan. Y'all show Dan some love.
Clap for that, you stupid bastard.
And Corn Pop was a bad dude. And he ran a bunch of bad boys.
Listen, fuckhead, you have fucking crossed the line, claiming I'm the enemy. You got that, you goddamn son of a bitch?
I don't give a fuck what you think, bitch.
Good morning. Sunday morning.
Cut that bitch off.
Why you texting? Why? You're getting nervous, man. Calm down. It's okay.
Suck my dick and choke on it. I yield my time. Fuck you.
Okay, wonderful. I figured it out. I figured out my camera and I'm here.
Wait a minute. I think we might. I see Richard in the digital waiting room, ladies and gentlemen.
Hi.
Oh shit, I just kicked my camera. Way to go. My space is a little too tight here. So Richard, give me the thumbs up. You're all good on the tech side?
Yep, I'm good to go, Graham.
All right, outstanding.
What's the link?
Drink of fracking fluid, courtesy of Granny Petrol. She sends me, she bottles her own fracking fluid. It's fantastic. It's kind of like moonshine, but more toxic. And I use it to just create earthquakes and explosions where I live, because I just love fracking, because we don't want to lose the fracking jobs, right?
Never.
We don't want to lose the fracking jobs. So what if they poison the water and blow everything up? It's money. All right, let's bring him on the program, ladies and gentlemen. Richard, how you doing, man?
I'm good, Graham. It's good to be here with you. How are you?
Excellent. Let's just make sure everybody in the chat can hear you all right. Everybody can hear Richard okay.
This is on Rockfin, right? Because I'm trying to send people the link so they can join.
Yes, it is Rockfin, and it's my Monday night Rockfin. So it's for premium members only. So they got to have a membership or a premium.
Oh, well, that's it's a good occasion to promote the Rockfin, because I keep trying to get people to come on Rockfin and support independent media, especially after YouTube have been doing what they did to you. So everybody needs to go and sign up on Rockfin and support independent media. With that said,
dude, I appreciate that. Yeah, man. Thanks for tweeting this out. It looks like everybody can hear you okay. It's all good. Love me some Graham with a side of Richie. You got friends in the chat, my friend. Good audio. Everything's working. Okay, cool. All right, let's. Hello, everybody. My name is Graham Elwood, and you are watching The Political Vigilante. We have been demonetized by YouTube. So please go to rockfin.com/Graham Elwood. And I got a lot of free content on the channel. And if you sign up for the premium, it's only $10 a month. You get all of my premium and my guests premium and everybody else on the channel. Very happy to have back on the show, Richard Medhurst. Richard, how you doing?
I'm happy to be here, Graham. It's good to talk with you and to be on the program again. Thank you.
Thanks, dude. I know it's been a kind of trying time for you because you're Syrian and Joe Biden. Sadly, I'm not shocked he started bombing Syria. We all kind of knew this was going to happen. This is who he is. He was part of Obama's dropping more bombs than Bush and setting the Middle East on fire. But that happened, I believe, last Thursday, which was, I forget what date that was, the 25th.
25th, yeah.
So what do you know from your family and contacts in Syria, and what light can you shed on this? Because obviously the mainstream media is just like, oh, I think something happened in Syria. No, Joe Biden had no choice. And then dumb blue MAGA liberals just, he's more presidential when he drops his bombs. So
yeah. I mean, it's the reporting by the mainstream media, of course, is horrendous as usual. I mean, I don't have any family near where this bombing took place. This was in Abu Kamal, which is on the Syria-Iraq border. And, it's interesting what they're saying in the media, because as usual, they use this excuse of, Joe Biden was attacking Iranian-backed militias, or Shia militias, which in of itself is a bit weird, because it's like, does that mean because they're Iranian-backed, or they're Shia, that it's okay to bomb them? I mean, it's a sovereign nation, and that makes that doesn't make it okay. And I was talking to Max Abrams the other day, and he made an interesting point, which I think is true. It's that this wasn't so much to send about sending a message to Iran. It was also about sending a message to Israel that Biden is still with them, because Trump. They love Trump, right? I mean, he recognized the occupied Syrian Golan Heights as Israeli. He moved the American embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, and they name things after him like Trump Heights, and they love him. But Joe Biden, of course, Joe Biden is a huge Zionist. He said that himself, right? And he's always been a staunch supporter of Israel and Kamala Harris. But I think it was more about sending a message to the Israelis that, they're going to turn a blind eye, as they always do, to them bombing Syria. And again, we just saw last night, Israel's bombing Syria again. And they use the same excuse, like these Iranian-backed militias. I mean, that's such a weird way of putting it, because like they're reducing it to some kind of menacing phrase, but it's what they're talking about is the PMU or PMF, like the Popular Mobilization Forces, Popular Mobilization Units. You know, these are local groups from inside Iraq who are not just Shia, by the way. There's also Sunnis among them. They have Christians. They have Yazidis. Like it's just a coalition of militias who happen to have some backing from Iran, who kicked ISIS's ass. You know, and it's incredible that not just Trump, but now Biden also helps ISIS again, because, you know, when Trump assassinated Soleimani, he didn't just kill Soleimani, he also killed Abu Mahdi along with him. And Abu Mahdi is actually a commander in the PMU. And now now Biden goes and bombs the PMU, and he's just doing ISIS favors. I mean, these jihadists even release statements saying like, oh yeah, we're grateful for Trump assassinating Soleimani and Abu Mahdi because, you know, these guys were kicking their asses. And, you know, it's much easier for them to just say, oh, yeah, they're Iranian-backed militias instead of just speaking the truth, which is that, you know, these guys are fighting terrorism. They've liberated Mosul in Iraq, which is, you know, a huge city. They've liberated large swaths of Syria and Iraq. And, you know, they've saved tons of minorities. Like you had, for example, when Soleimani was assassinated by Trump, you had Christians in Syria holding masses for Soleimani. Right. But if you listen to MSNBC, like they'll just say, oh, he's like some Shia terrorist or something. No, man, these people are revered because they've actually saved other minorities. Right. And so they won't tell you that side of the story. And, you know, it's a continuation of the same old propaganda. It's just nonsense.
Well, not only will the American mainstream media won't tell you the whole side of the story. They won't even show the clips of them saying, oh, Soleimani's helping us to beat ISIS from several years ago. I mean, like, and the American media, they're not dumb. This is deliberate that they just then, and what this bombing also did, I would add, not only is it saying, hey, you know, Netanyahu, we still are down with you, but it's also helping to fuel this. Ooh, Iran. They've been wanting a war with Iran for literally, I mean, for decades, let's be honest, since the Ayatollah took over from the Shah. I mean, they've been wanting this, and you can go back to, you know, then Senator Hillary Clinton in 2007 talking about, we got to do something about Iran. I mean, after 9/11, Iran was thrown into the, axis of evil along with Venezuela. I was like, how the fuck so Venezuela was a part of the 9/11 attacks? What the fuck? What? It's just like, it's
ridiculous.
Ridiculous, and they know that the American people are just going to hear a couple buzzwords and go, oh yeah, I mean, and they know that the blue MAGA crowd, the older crowd, the younger folks seem to be paying more attention, but like like Gen X and up, they'll just go, because I remember when Trump bombed Syria the first time, when he had only been in office, 4 or 5 months, in April of 2017, and a Hollywood liberal friend of mine who did not like Trump at all was like, yeah, but he had to because Assad was gassing people. And I was like, that's it. You just bought that. You just bought that. And I was like, this is how
after 2003, you know, they just still believe WMD lies. It's incredible.
Sure. It's just like, and it's unbelievable to me. And it's like, I mean, I'm glad to see more chatter on social media of like, so we can't get a $1,400 check, but we got money to bomb. I'm seeing more of that. And people, because it's like, I posted this on January 20th. I said, all right, liberals, no more excuses. Big bad Trump's gone. You've got the House, the Senate. I don't want to hear it. There's no, but Trump, shut the fuck up. Trump's gone.
Exactly.
Your orange demon is gone. So what now? I mean, you know, I just did a segment that, you know, the Biden is reopening a Trump detention.
Yeah, in Texas, right?
Well, sorry, facility. It's a nice facility. It's nice. So these weren't bombs. These were freedom sparkles that they dropped.
No, Graham, they were defensive airstrikes, right? Because as everybody knows, Syria is bombing the United States, and you know, Syria is at war with the United States, and Syria invaded the United States. So they're defensive. Right. But no, it's really preposterous because the rationale behind it as well is like, oh well, they're claiming that two recent incidents justified this attack. They're saying on February 15th there was a rocket attack in Erbil in Iraq where one American contractor was killed, 5 American contractors were wounded, and 1 American soldier was wounded. And they're also citing a rocket attack on the Grayzone in Baghdad on February 22nd, I believe. And again, you know, the Grayzone is where you have the U.S. embassy, and it's the biggest embassy in the world. And it's I'm not kidding. It's almost the size of Vatican City. If you just look it up on Google, it's like a fucking space military base. It's just enormous. And rocket attacks there are nothing new. I mean, I still don't think you should be firing rockets at diplomatic missions, but you know, they act like it's something new and therefore it warranted a response. But you know, they're just using it as a pretext to justify this attack. And again, this is taking place in Baghdad. So why are they striking inside Syria at the border with Iraq? And, you know, if you go and read this article in the New York Times, they said that they're not even sure that it's the same group that is, you know, the one that they bombed. They're not even sure it's the same one that did the rocket strikes. So it's just random. They don't care and they don't need a justification. They just use the authorization for use of military force, which was signed into law during the Bush years. To justify anything you want. It's like a page and a half long, and it's just a blank check to just bomb and drone strike and kill everyone. And Obama's been using it, Trump's been using it, and now Biden's using it. And, you know, again, I think people need to take a step back and remember, like, the U.S. is illegally occupying Iraq. It's illegally occupying Syria. And the same thing for Britain, you know, like all these, the entire coalition of the willing. They have no right to be there. They can't talk about defense, like, or defensive airstrikes. They're there illegally. They have no business being there. And after they killed Soleimani, the Iraqi parliament voted to kick out all foreign troops, and the Americans just didn't listen. The British didn't listen. They're still there. And, you know, it's like, oh, we're going to invade Iraq to give them a democracy, and when their democracy votes to kick us out, we're not going to listen. You know, like, it's unbelievable.
Well, the thing that's so, like, when, you know, a bunch of gun-toting neo-Nazis seized our Capitol building, how come Syria didn't bomb us? Because we were under siege. How come that didn't happen? How come no one in the middle? How come Venezuela didn't send troops across the border? How come that didn't happen? We're under siege. I mean, literally, our capital, our own citizens are a greater threat to our democracy than anybody in the Middle East. And not only that, like, oh, we're finally the new information came out about Khashoggi. Like, yeah, the Saudis killed him. This is the same Saudi Arabia that had 9/11 bombers.
According to Nicole Wallace, she thinks you should drone strike people who, you know, enabled the Capitol rioters. So, I mean, at least she's being consistent, right? At least she's being consistent. I mean, all right, well, like, she's from the Bush administration, after all. She was the White House spokeswoman, and now she's like, people think she's a progressive on MSNBC. The whitewashing is unbelievable. I mean, these people they should be in fucking jail, honestly, for the suffering that they've caused. These wars are still happening. Like, it's been 20 years, and these people have now gigs on television, and people forget about it. Like, even Shep Smith, right, who used to be on Fox News, and he was saying, I'm not kidding. Like, there's a clip of him. I played it where you can see the tanks on the split screen, like, invading Iraq. And he's like, yeah, well, you know, maybe we'll set up a base and then spread some of the love. And this motherfucker is still on television. Like, it's unreal. It's unreal how these people are still in journalism.
Well, so Ted Bundy killed less people and he got the electric chair. So when are these people gonna suffer the fate of Ted Bundy? I mean, because they're serial killers. I mean, it's the hypocrisy. I can't even. Like, my head explodes when I think about the hypocrisy. I can't even. I mean,
it's really unbelievable.
You know, we have people waiting in bread lines. I mean, literally, this country has handled the pandemic the worst. We have the highest body count, the highest percentage of people. I mean, India, which has 1 billion people and is a third world country, dealt with the pandemic better than we did. How is that possible? I mean, like, not only that, you've got people in bread lines. You've got I don't know what the unemployment is. You've got these looming, I mean, they keep kicking the rent and foreclosure collapse down the road. The New CARES Act they'll just keep kicking that can down the road. They're just basically lengthening the fuse of the time bomb the economic time bomb that's going to happen. 60,000 people a year die because they don't have health insurance. That was before the pandemic. I mean, we have cops have a 99% acquittal rate whenever they shoot somebody, kills an unarmed person. People of color, black people get killed. Unarmed black people get killed at a higher rate, but even unarmed, that's the other thing too. Like the All Lives Matter crowd goes, yeah, but unarmed white people get killed by cops too. It's all awful. We're
like as if that's any better. Like,
oh, good.
All of it is bad. You know, it's incredible. They're ready to, stop giving, stop delivering on their campaign promises. They said, okay, $15 minimum wage. At least there's one progressive thing on Biden's platform saying, oh no, we can't do it because the Senate parliamentarian and, but when it comes to the defense budget, I mean, Chuck Schumer and Mitch McConnell, they fucking took a break from their Christmas vacation and reconvened the Senate like right after Christmas to make sure that the defense budget would pass even if Trump vetoed it. It's like there's no delays with that. You don't mess with the profits of the military industrial complex. But when it's time to give the COVID relief checks, oh no, it's not $2,000, it's $1,400 sometime in mid-March. And those campaign promises, no, forget about that. There's no climate change action. The $15 minimum wage, no, we can't do it. Sorry. All of a sudden, Joe Biden is now the most powerless person in the world, right? It's just like
what happened? He can't. He doesn't. So he's got enough power to circumvent Congress to go to, to bomb Syria. So he just doesn't need Congress anymore. But he just can't. Oh, and he just can't. They just can't seem to figure out this $1,400. Old man Joe just keeps fumbling around the White House. He can't seem.
After they told us that he can reach across the aisle and he knows everybody and he can get things done, right? That's why he's better than Bernie Sanders. And look at the silence. I mean, look at AOC. Look at Rashida Tlaib. They haven't said a fucking word. Just like you said, he went behind Congress's back. Now, of course, you have these, neocons and war on terror advocates. They'll come and tell you like, oh, but he has the AUMF as if it's constitutional to begin with. But like, these are Congress people. They don't even respect themselves that Biden went behind their backs and just bombed another country. They won't even acknowledge it. It's fucking unbelievable. Like, if there's one thing that you would be like, okay, no, I gotta put my foot down here and say something. You would think it's like committing an act of war against someone else. No, they won't even admit. They won't say a word. Nothing.
And you bring up a great point. AOC and Tlaib and the squad, nothing. I mean, I think I would at least get a couple of tweets. I mean, that's all they're good for anyway, is sending out tweets. I mean, AOC
they did for Trump.
Yeah, they they did for Trump. When Trump did war, it was bad. When Biden does it, we got other stuff on our plate.
Exactly.
The most AOC could do was she's like, this isn't about the detention facilities. AOC was like, this isn't good from any administration. And I retweeted saying, yeah, don't pass a law or use your power and influence to, pressure a vote to Democrats to change. Just keep tweeting. That'll do it. That'll save the day.
Yeah, of course.
Keep tweeting like goddamn Taylor Swift.
Man,
like who are?
If only AOC would go into another photo shoot, maybe she could change Biden's mind. She went to the cages and started just crying there. Maybe like this will finally do the trick, right? God, man. It looked like a scene from Terminator 2,
It's so Richard, how do you see? I mean, obviously, I said this because they've been trying to false flag us into Iran. They want a war in Iran, and when while I don't like Trump, I guess I'm glad he's gone. But we traded out overt fascism for the rainbow flag fascism of Biden and the gang. I was like, oh great. When everyone was dancing in the streets, when they named Biden, I was like, we're gonna bomb Iran, right? Like we're gonna have boots on the ground in Iran, probably. Like that they've been wanting to do this for a long time.
Yeah,
and they know they've got these dipshit blue MAGA people that will. Well, he had to go into Iran. They'll just make excuses for it. So how do you see this playing out? I mean, since they obviously planted the Iran seed in the Iran-backed rebels. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's like even if hypothetically you want to play devil's advocate and say like, Iran has 10,000 legions of troops inside Syria. It's no one's fucking business. Like, the United States has how many military bases in the world? Does that make it okay for, like, can Syria go and bomb South Korea because there's an American military base there? What kind of logic is that? It's none of their business. And if it weren't for Iran and Russia, ISIS would be in control of Syria right now. It's really that simple. People, they'll give you all this propaganda and tell you that, they're just advancing their own interests. Nah, man, Syria was going to fall. Syria was this close. I mean, my cousins live like literally 5 minutes on foot from, where you had jihadists digging up tunnels and just mortaring central Damascus. They were going to take the capital. They were going to take the capital city. It was going to fall. And, if you didn't have support from Iran and Russia, it would have been gone. They would have massacred, Christians like my family. They would have massacred anyone else they don't agree with. And, as you mentioned, they've been wanting to deal with Iran for a long time, and it's not about nukes, right? This is just a bullshit excuse. They're just overtly saying that, we want a new nuclear deal. We want one that addresses the ballistic missile programs. Ballistic missiles are not nukes. And they want to, again, they say contain Iran's influence in the region. What does that mean? That means literally what Joe Biden just bombed the PMU, right? Because the PMU is not just about, they didn't just kick ISIS ass. The PMU, their stated objective is to kick out the American occupation out of Iraq, out of the Middle East, and also the Israeli occupation. So that's what they mean. They don't want Iran supporting resistance efforts. And also, of course, you have Iran supporting Palestine as well. So that's what they're pissed off about. And it's astonishing because that was Trump's position. That's the reason Trump left the deal, because he was doing that for Israel, right? Israel's never liked the Iran nuclear deal because, apparently the nuclear inspections and limitations were not enough. They wanted, as I mentioned, the ballistic missiles and the, influence curbed. And so Joe Biden and his team, his cabinet, who were actually the architects of the Iran nuclear deal, they're just running with Trump's position, because they're like, well, we're out of the deal now, so we might as well just ask for more, and it's like they're trying to be smart and like be clever dicks, because just last week they're saying, hey, look, we're open to talks now, with our European partners. Knowing full well that Iran is going to say no, not because Iran doesn't want to talk about the nuclear deal. Iran is still in the nuclear deal. Iran wants them to lift sanctions first, right? Because, that was just a punitive measure from the U.S. and they want the U.S. to lift the sanctions and then re-enter the deal. And they're not going to renegotiate the deal. And it's so weird. You see Joe Biden at the same time saying that, I'm ready to open talks. He goes and bombs Iranian-backed militias inside of Syria. Like, I don't know, man. It just makes no sense whatsoever. It's kind of like signaling to Israel, like, look, either these guys are going to come to the table and do as we want, or they're going to understand the hard way with the bombs. But I don't think that, I don't think that, I hope not in any case, that I hope there's not going to be a war, because, while Israel and the United States, they go and kill, whoever they like inside of Syria and Iraq, they still won't touch Iran because they know they can't. That's just a bridge too far for them, right? And it's actually incredible what Iran's been able to do under sanctions, because even under sanctions, they've built this pretty incredible defense program with the ballistic missiles. And that's why they're trying to get rid of them, right? That's why they want that included in a new deal. It's not about nukes. Iran doesn't have nukes. So, I do think that, as I said, the Biden administration, they're taking everything that Trump did, like the Abraham Accords, moving the embassy to Jerusalem, the Caesar Act sanctions on Syria, stealing the oil in Syria, building illegal bases in Syria, bombing Syria, attacking the PMU. They're taking all of that and just running with it, right? So it's, as I said, it's just a continuation of Trump. It's not even changing a little bit. And it's astonishing that, the architects of the Iran nuclear deal, because these guys were all there under Obama when he did it, you would think that they would rush back to the nuclear deal, right? If you're so worried about Iran obtaining a nuke, isn't that the first thing you would do? Like, you would go back and enter the deal, because it put limits on Iran's, enrichment, on the number of centrifuges. No, what are they doing? They're sending a message to, in the form of F-15 payloads. And it's just like, it's just it's so clear that it's a continuation of Trump, and it's astonishing that people can't see that. And the fact that all these so-called progressives are silent, it just means they're complicit. I mean, 100%. Like, this is shameful. It's really disgraceful. And they talked about Trump being a mad king. That's what AOC called him when he bombed Syria without congressional approval. So he's a mad king, but, Joe Biden is, what's Syria? I don't know what that is.
Yeah. What is Joe Biden? He's more presidential. I mean, like I saw some woman with a rainbow flag and a blue check, I forget, on Twitter was like, and she was being dead serious. She was like, it's so nice to see, even the handling of war being more presidential, and Syria is being even more classy or something like that. Oh, wow. Yeah. The bombs are so more classy under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. It's just preposterous. And I don't know.
Yeah, it really
America is a fucking virus, man. And it's
Graham, you have to let me as a half British person take some credit. It's the demon spawn of the United Kingdom. Okay, let's put it that way. So that's what I stick to.
It is really like, yeah, look what you've done. It's insane to watch. And of course, the squad is useless. I mean,
they're not going to do anything. Ilhan Omar, she criticizes Biden. Okay, great. She talks about the AUMF. Great. Are you going to repeal it? Like, they were so quick to call for impeaching Trump because he was violating their democracy. Okay, what do you call it when the president breaches his oath of office and goes behind Congress's back and attacks another country? And that the AUMF is unconstitutional and bad. Are you going to put it forward in legislation to get rid of it? Where are the consequences? Like, nothing, not a single thing. They just say, oh, it's bad. And okay, we're going to move on to the next thing.
And I just wait. They'll vote for Biden's military budget. And they'll give him more money. All these the Progressive Caucus and all the squad and all these sellouts. They'll give Biden his war budget.
Yeah, they will. I mean, to their credit, in December they didn't, right? Because and that was very clever of them, because all of their troll armies on Twitter, they were like, "What are you talking about? Of course, AOC didn't vote for the omnibus bill, and neither did any of the squad, because it had a $600 stimulus check in it, which was crumbs." Right? It was $600, and that was hidden inside of a bigger the omnibus bill, which included the defense budget. And what they did is they actually voted against the version that had the defense budget in it. But at the final vote, without the defense budget, they still voted for the $600 crumbs. It's like that's the only difference, right? It's unbelievable. They still want to screw over someone, like, at the end of the day, whether it's maybe perhaps not with a defense budget on that occasion, but they'll definitely give you crumbs and then think it's acceptable, and hide that they voted for it too.
Man, if I was in Congress, I'd do some devious shit. They'd have an awful bill in there, and they always sneak in awful stuff. I'd sneak in stuff for, like, progressives. I'd be like, oh, this bailout Wall Street bill. All right, I'm gonna just make anyone with ties to Epstein all automatically go to prison. Like, there you go. Just sneak some shit in there. Just like all weapons, defense contractor CEOs and oil CEOs are now deemed terrorists. And just, sorry. Well, I can drone strike Raytheon.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
I would do subversive shit like that, and they'd be like, "Oh, we can't sneak thin in there at the last minute." Oh, okay. Oh, that sounds cool. All right. Is that? Then let's make the bills a little smaller. Let's make them 500 words or less, and everybody can read them online. Yeah, we need to do that. Okay. Because if you don't, I'll just keep sliding shit like that in there.
It's really funny. Again, like I said about the AUMF, if you go read it, it's 1.5 pages. Like, that's it. And you just think of the millions of people that have suffered because of it. It's really funny, like, when they want to give themselves a blank check, it's just one page, right? But when it comes to actually improving the lives of people, like, we got to make it complicated and put it in with other bills and fill it with a bunch of shit and we got to it's got to be means tested, and it's incredible. And by the way, just sorry, Graham, one thing before I forget, I think Tulsi Gabbard, she's the only one so far that I know who actually criticized all of the policy against Syria. Like, she didn't just criticize the bombing; she also pointed out the sanctions and the theft of the oil. And that's really important that she did that, because I think she's the only one who did. And so, because far more people are dying from sanctions, and that's like completely glossed over. And Trump put that in, and Biden is just rolling with it. Like it's not even a question that he removes it. So yeah, of course I'm keeping sanctions on Syria and Iran and Venezuela.
I mean, we're sanctioning countries in the middle of a pandemic, and yeah, I give Tulsi credit for that, for being the only one. But again, you know, where is she now? Well, like she just where is
it's not enough. It's never enough, man.
Yeah, it's just talk, and maybe, but Pat, like, you know, I need to see laws passed. I need to see you introduce floor votes. I need to see you be obstructive. Like, I need to see you do what Mike Gravel did when he read the Pentagon Papers on the Senate floor in the 70s to make sure they became a matter of permanent record. Shit like that. Mike Gravel wasn't worried about his Twitter feed. So I just want to see real, and it's just not, and I don't know. But I think the American people, because at some point the economy is going to collapse. They can keep printing money and keep kicking the can down the road, but the economy is going to collapse.
Yeah,
and
it's overdue at this point.
It's way overdue
because that's capitalism, you know.
Yeah, well, that's capitalism, and then all these bubbles were in place before COVID, and then you've had all these industries completely wiped out. And okay, we're going to open the vaccine and we're going to open up. Okay, great. But there's whole industries that are wiped out. I mean, I know a half a dozen nightclubs, comedy clubs, and restaurants that are gone. They're gone. They're not coming back. And, you know, you can print all the money you want and open stuff up. And that's just the ones I know, not to mention whole industries have been wiped out. So it's like,
yeah, and whatever money they do have, instead of subsidizing those businesses or you know, keeping them afloat, keeping people afloat for the time being, they just use it on bombs. They just use it on, you know, foreign aid to Israel. They just it's you know, it's like they can actually make a decision to help people. They choose not to.
Yeah, and you know, I've been doing a lot of research on the forbearance bubble, basically. So all these people who own property for the last year they called their mortgage companies and said, you know, I lost my job due to COVID or whatever. And so they're not making payments. And the bank is like, sure, fine. We'll put the payments, you know, we'll restructure the loan or put them in the back of the book, so to speak. But the interest hasn't stopped. The escrow hasn't stopped. Property values have gone up because there's a low inventory in this country, which means, so when they finally do say, okay, now you got to start making payments, the monthly payment is still going to be bigger. You're not, you know, and some of the mortgage companies are going to say, yeah, you owe us all this back. We're not going to just restructure the loan. We need some money up front. And people are going to go, okay. And there's going to be a mass foreclosure and short sale and people just putting their houses up. We can't afford this. And then the housing market's going to collapse. And you've got all this, you know, all this over leveraged debt that's happening. And then what?
Yeah, I mean, we already know who's going to make it out alive. It's the bankers, right? They're going to be unscathed by whatever happens. They don't give a shit. You know, Obama basically just told them, yeah, you can do this again.
and the other thing too is
bastards.
Like they got all that money. All these billionaires have made record profits during this pandemic. I mean, it's
what does that tell you?
What does that tell you? And so I don't know if the American people are going to get so forced that they've had enough. I mean, I keep saying America is like a drug addict and the American citizens are like, you know, people in a relationship with a drug addict or adult children of alcoholics who have alcoholic parents, and they're in denial. Yeah. And then like when someone speaks up and says, hey, this is awful, the person that speaks up gets yelled at, stop causing problems. You know not to make dad angry when he drinks or whatever, you know, and it's like, it's ridiculous. The alcoholic is the fucking problem. So I don't know, man. I mean, I know the UK is not some picnic, but I'm envious of anybody.
I mean, you know, the thing is that the UK, I mean, the way that they've handled the crisis is horrendous. I mean, like for the first, you know, at the beginning they're doing herd immunity, and then after a few weeks they're like, okay, this is not working. We're going to do a lockdown, but schools are exempt from the lockdowns, you know, like, and public commuting is okay. And, you know, and then just a few months ago, like when I was there during the Assange thing, like there's no mask mandate, which is incredible. you know, and they were saying pubs can open, but only until 10 p.m. And it's like, make up your fucking minds. They didn't even know what they were doing. And, you know, they've also botched it immensely. And I think one thing which was really suspicious, because I mean, I'm still quite shocked that this is real. Like the chief scientific advisor to the government, he has 600,000 pounds worth of stocks in a company that makes vaccines. And it just, you look at that and it's like, why are you doing this? Like, you're scientists. You're supposed to stick to science. I don't want to see you investing in shit and doing what, you know, the motherfuckers in Big Pharma do and in the military industrial complex. And like, I can't take you seriously, you know? And I'm not saying again, I'm not a doctor or a biologist, but it's just corruption. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, it's the same corruption that you see in other places. And it's part incompetence, I think, and also criminal negligence and corruption, and you know, they just care about they don't really care about the small man. You know, they don't care about small businesses. They don't care about the average worker. At the end of the day, if the billionaires keep increasing their wealth and whatever conditions are in place guarantee that, then that's fine, right? That's all that matters. And one scandal that I've seen barely anyone talk about this. You had Jared Kushner, like Trump's son-in-law. You remember when nurses were coming into hospitals, like wearing trash bags and shit, like in New York, like they had no PPE, they had nothing. And Jared Kushner was flying in PPE from China and then selling it off to the highest bidder. Like, you had states that were in a bidding war with each other about who would get that medical equipment. And then if a foreign entity or person outbid those states, they would get it. So like, it wasn't even necessarily going to states or doctors or nurses in the US. Like, it was just who has the most money. Like, just a bidding war, an international bidding war for PPE at a time when there wasn't enough in the US. And, you know, Trump was not doing anything about it. So they made money off of this shit. And I can't believe that this went so underreported. It's like, holy fuck, this is like one of the biggest scandals. And no one talked about it. Like, you know, you would think that even AOC or whoever, you know, these people claim to be so anti-Trump and anti-corruption and all of this, and they're going to stand up to the establishment. Where is it? I don't know, man. It's mind-boggling. Yeah, it's like... Yeah, I mean, they know that Nancy Pelosi is just as corrupt. I mean, you saw what she was doing. She was giving like money to, PPP, so small business money to lobbyists. You know, people make $1 million fucking bucks a year. The vermin who corrupt Washington D.C. Like, why are they getting small business money? That was in the HEROES Act. And then also Israel, like some nonprofit called Friends of the Israeli Defense Forces got 2.5 million from that under small business money. What the fuck? Like, first of all, you're a nonprofit, and I mean, what does the IDF got to do with small businesses in America? Like, the corruption is just fucking mind-boggling. Not to mention the fact that they gave trillions in general to corporations, which would have been bad in of itself, right? Never mind the lobbyists and all of this stuff. So, you know, they'll talk about it, but they're not actually going to stand up and do anything. And you're seeing the same thing right now with the $15 minimum wage. Like, you saw a joint letter from Ro Khanna, and all the squad signed it. 22 other House Democrats signed it, telling Joe Biden to override the Senate parliamentarian and put the $15 minimum wage in the relief bill, because the Senate parliamentarian, I mean, their opinion is not legal. They can override it easily. They just don't want to. And it's like, okay, great, you wrote a letter, but Joe Biden has come out and said the White House Chief of Staff, Klain, said they're not going to override the parliamentarian, meaning they're not going to put the $15 minimum wage in the bill. You campaigned on that shit. And do you think AOC and all these people and Ro Khanna, they're actually going to do anything beyond writing a letter? I really doubt it. And they... Yeah. They're working harder to get fucking Neera Tanden appointed as OMB. Like, they can all of a sudden, like, Joe Biden and the White House, they know how to fight and change senators' minds to get her confirmed, but not to get the $15 minimum wage through, right? Yeah. I'm speechless. Like, there's not enough words to describe her. Yeah. You know, that's what counts, man. That's what counts. You have a woman who's director of national intelligence, a woman potentially who's going to head the OMB. Shalanda is deputy director of the OMB. You know, you have a female vice president, female treasury secretary, but, you know, actually lifting millions of women out of poverty with a higher minimum wage. Again, 15 is not even enough, but, you know, helping them somewhat, even crumbs, the bare minimum, giving them healthcare. No, fuck that. Just, you know, tokenism. That's all they care about. Just like, you know, putting on a show. Yeah. Yeah. That's criminal. No. Graham. Look, man, I'm telling you, as a Syrian, I have a warm, fuzzy feeling inside of me that I saw my country being bombed by a black man this time. It makes it okay. Don't worry about it. Oh, you know it, man. You know it. Yeah. No. So I'm based in Vienna, but I went to the UK and I was in the courthouse. So I was in. You went up to the 6th floor, but this is very interesting. It's so obvious, but I realized that only after why they put the trial all the way up on the 6th floor at the end of the hallway. They wanted to make sure that you couldn't hear the activists outside like you did in February. Well, I wasn't there in February, but you know, I know that there was a whole racket. So now I know why, because there was COVID and most of the rooms were empty, so they could have put it on any floor, but they chose the highest floor all the way to the end. No, so I was there. I was in the court, and you know, I was in the room at the end of the hallway, and which is a court in itself, but it was transformed into a media press annex. And it's so stupid because, like, you know, you had we're sitting at the top, like me and 4 other people. You know, one day, for example, I was with Fidel Narvaez, who was the former consul at the embassy, right? So he knows Julian very well, and you know, he knows about the spying and all this stuff. And you know, most of the time it was me and other journalists or people involved with the case, because they were shutting out everyone from actually covering the thing. Even online, like the first day of the trial, they revoked 40 plus links for like NGOs, observers, members of parliament, and journalists. Yeah, like for no reason. And this is during COVID. Like they could easily just let people in. They didn't want to. And so, you know, I was in the next room. So basically, like you know, on the other side of the wall was Julian Assange. And we had screens, and we could see what's like going on in the next room, where Julian actually was in this glass box. And you know, it's just I have so many emotions about this case, and it's like I'm not even Julian's family or something. You know, it's like it's just so fucked up, because every single day it's just one scandal after the next. You know, the shifting of goalposts. every day by the U.S. prosecution is just revolting. Like, there's just off the top of my head, like they would say, oh yeah, maybe he has depression, but it's not that bad. It's not like suicidal depression. Or like, does he really have Asperger's? We don't think he does, because this doctor from 1998 like doesn't think so. Or and saying things like, well, Julian Assange doesn't have any First Amendment rights. Sorry, Julian Assange is not a journalist. He's a hacker. And even if he were a journalist, he doesn't actually have First Amendment rights. Like, just fucking shifting the goalposts every second and shitting on the, like, every semblance of justice. And one of the best ones was like about the spying on him. AUSA Kronberg, the federal prosecutor, he made some kind of assurance that, like, well, we're not, we can't confirm or deny that we spied on Julian Assange in the embassy, but if we did, we promise we won't use any of the evidence in the court case when he's extradited to the US. Like, just fucking nuts. And you're like in the middle of fucking London, just like watching this shit. And it's like, I can't believe this is unfolding. And, the problem is that the judge, she ruled against extradition, which sounds good. That one I watched online, because you couldn't enter the UK because of COVID, which is January 4th. And, I heard her and I saw her handing down the sentence, and, she ruled against the extradition, but only on health grounds. Like, basically that, US prisons are so shitty, specifically the federal super maximum where they likely put him, that there's a high chance he would commit suicide. That's why she won't let them extradite him. But everything else, the hacking charge, there's one count under the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act. This is like saying that, he conspired with Chelsea Manning, which is not true. They can't even prove it. And there are 17 other counts under the Espionage Act. She agreed with all of that shit. So like, she criminalized journalism. And the best part is she also started drawing parallels with UK law. Like, again, I'm not a lawyer, so there's a bit of contention on this point, but it's weird because it's like, why is she doing that? Is she trying to set some kind of precedence that this is also illegal in the UK, even though we're talking about US laws? And even it would be illegal in the US, right? Because Julian Assange is not a fucking spy. He's a journalist, and she's trying to, they're trying to criminalize the First Amendment and journalism and national security journalism. So it's really, really worrisome, this appeal. The verdict, because it sounds good, but it's not good for journalism. And now we're just waiting for the appeal to happen. And Joe Biden's administration said, yeah, we're going to appeal it. So this is again another point where they're just continuing what Trump did. Right. Absolutely none whatsoever. Yeah. What? Yeah, and not just that, but I mean, he's one of the architects of the system, right? I mean, he when they say that Joe Biden can get things done and he can reach across the aisle, that means he's so corrupt that he's on good terms with everyone, and that's the reason why he's in the White House now. And the only difference between him and Trump is that Trump he took off the mask, essentially. With Trump, it was a bit too explicit. You can't come and say, oh, we're keeping the oil. No, Joe Biden says protecting the oil is not our priority. And then he still keeps fucking troops at the oil. Like, it's just unfucking believable. Yeah. It's unbelievable. Like, I feel like we're in a fucking episode of The Twilight Zone, and I feel almost bad saying that sometimes because, like, I mean, I feel like I don't have a right to even complain given what my cousins had to live through. I still have family there, but it's just so offensive, and I'm just constantly fucking offended on everyone's behalf. Like, I don't, whether it's Syria or Yemen, I mean, I've never been to Yemen or Libya, you know, or the US. I mean, I don't, most of my audience, I don't actually know them personally, but I still feel offended and pissed off on their behalf because, you know, we're all human beings at the end of the day, and we're being fucked by the same people. We're being fucked by the banks that you mentioned and the military industrial complex, and they're crapping all over us. And then you have these clowns that come along and tell you and try to sheep herd you into voting for more of the same, you know, for people who actually don't have a spine, who are not going to challenge anyone who's in DC. So yeah, I'm pissed off. Yeah. Yeah. Precisely. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. You you know what the irony is? You know what the irony is? It's like I remember when I go to Syria, like you know, every year it would basically. I mean, it was normal, like to have electricity cuts, water cuts, right? And like every year something would get better. You know, like in the last couple of years before the war started, there were no more electricity cuts. Like, and I like one day I was like, yo, the electricity's still on. What's going on? And they're like, yeah, that doesn't happen anymore. We're good. And it's like now everything has been set back like 20 fucking years. And just as you pointed out, it's like even people in America are getting screwed by this agenda. And again, it's absurd because it's like all of this money is being spent on imperialism and on plundering and on theft, and the victims of imperialism are being screwed, and even the citizens of the country doing the imperialism, whether it's the UK or it's the US, are not even. They're not even getting anything from it, right? They're also being screwed. I mean, it would still be wrong, obviously, to profit off of another country, but you know, it's not even that. It's like just one ruling class screwing over both their citizens and worker. You know, it's an international gang, and it's horrible. And you know, as you said. At least if stuff would go towards social services to actually help people, I mean, great, but they don't even use it for that. And then, you know, they come in and vote for defense budgets that are the size of the goddamn galaxy, and include money for Israelis to kill Palestinians and, things that Americans don't benefit from in any way. And that's your money. And you know, if you dare open your mouth, look what they do, right? You can't even criticize them because now there's a blue man doing it. So now it's okay all of a sudden. And I have to point out the irony that, you know, nothing's changed, right? Like, you know, what were Americans saying 300 years ago, like under the British, right? They were saying like no taxation without representation. It's the same shit. It's just a different figurehead, right? Instead of a British monarch, it's now just a bunch of corporations. But it's the same relationship. It's horrible, and it's not even just in America. It's worldwide like that, where you have these corporations screwing over everyone. Yeah. 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 They should. Yeah, that was good. That was really good. Yeah. Yeah. Iranian-backed militias. Yeah. Of course. Sure. So my website is RichardMedhurst.com, and my YouTube channel is just youtube.com/RichardMedhurst. And if people want to support, they can just come here on Rockfin, endorse you, endorse me, doesn't matter. Just it helps everybody on independent media, helps us grow. That's basically it. And my Twitter is Richie Medhurst, RICHI Medhurst. And Graham, I was demonetized last year in June when I was covering the Israeli annexation. Yeah, they fucked me. So I know what that's like, unfortunately. And I went a few weeks demonetized, and I don't know how they reversed that. I think there was just people were like just retweeting it, and I think that must have helped. But just very peculiar that it happened in the week, when I was doing lots of videos about Israel and their annexation plan, and they hit me with the most ridiculous shit, like something to do with like copyrighted material. Like what? Like just, that was some bullshit. So thank God that was okay. But, we still should be wary, and that's why we should also diversify and not stay on YouTube, and, also help Rockfin to grow. So this is going to be our new home. Yeah. Thank you so much. You're welcome anytime. No worries. I know you're busy, and there's a lot going on, but you're welcome anytime. So just let me know. I'm happy to host you anytime. Thank you. It's a pleasure coming on, Graham. Yes, sir. Take care. Bye-bye. So hold on a second. Where are we at now? Wonderful. Hey everybody. Hello. So I hope that you guys caught that on Graham's Rockfin. Please definitely go. You can hear me, right? So definitely go and subscribe to his channel. And I say that for several reasons, because he's awesome, number one, but like second of all, they demonetized him. it's just disgusting and gross. And that's why I wanted to have him on the show to talk more about that. And once again, Rockfin, there's no censorship, there's no nonsense, there's no malarkey, as Joe Biden would say, and also we're getting paid better, right? There's no YouTube taking cuts or whatever. So definitely go to rockfin.com. I'm going to post his channel link, rockfin.com/Graham Elwood, right there. It's in the chat. So definitely go and endorse his channel, subscribe, because it really helps. So I'm going to read a couple of your super chats. Thank you for tuning in, guys. So, and for your support. Maxim says, Dore, Blumenthal, and Medhurst all give us an unbiased, non-corrupted outlook on the world. Let's show him some support. Thank you. I really appreciate that, man. I appreciate being mentioned among the greats. And that's really humbling. Thank you so much. Tony East Coast is, where'd Graham go? I don't know how long ago the super chat was, but did you not catch the show or something? I don't know what happened, but it's on Rockfin. So again, this is an incentive. This is why you should go on there and sign up. The Sand Queen says, ashamed to say, I just discovered your channel this past weekend. I've been watching as many videos as I can to catch up. Keep up the great work. That is so humbling of you. Thank you so much. That is really humbling. You'll have to excuse the technical difficulties sometimes. Last stream, there was a bit of a delay, but thank you. That's really humbling. I'm very grateful to hear that. I thank you. Brian says, keep covering Assange. It's so sickening what they're doing to him for committing journalism. There should be 20 million people out in the damn streets. This country is so sad. I couldn't agree more. And it's worth pointing out, and I covered it, like how they were shutting down people protesting for Assange, right? So not in front of the courthouse. They didn't shut anyone down there. But again, the problem is, like, yes, it is central London. You go to St. Paul's Cathedral, the Old Bailey's on your left. But, for example, you go to Piccadilly Square. In Piccadilly Square, there was a protest, it's not even like 30 people, right? This was a Saturday. We weren't even like 30 people, and the cops just come and shut everything down. And they were saying, like, oh, it's because of COVID and all this stuff. And it wasn't even like, oh, you need to wear a mask or you need to do social distancing. It was like, did you have someone organize this? Like trying to be bureaucratic with people, which was really weird. And it's like, no, there's no organizer. People just showed up. And they were saying, like, well, if you don't leave now, we're going to arrest you. And then they wouldn't like bother anyone else protesting. I mean, not that they should go and bother people protesting. That's not my point. But it shows that there was a double standard in who they were after. And, they arrested Eric just a while back. Like, the guy's 90 plus years old. Come on, man. He's sweet. He wears a silok, a kufia like me, and he's really sweet and nice. And they still arrested him. Like, they're just picking on people, And I'm just all that to say that I really do wish more people would be protesting, because I think in the case of Julian Assange, it's really one of those instances where if people would just understand, like if you just break it down to them what's going on, the vast majority are outraged. And it's because of the misinformation. Misinformation is putting it lightly. It's because of the lies. It's the propaganda. They lie on purpose, not just about Assange, but about everything to do with him, so they can try and character assassinate him. And that way people are more reluctant to know about it, to understand that it's not just about him as a man. I mean, of course, the guy's suffering physically and mentally, and we should never downplay that, but that it's press freedoms as well that are under threat, right? That's also a large part of it. And I think, that's why it's really important for people to understand it, because they would be outraged. But the media do such a great job at not informing people. And you could say this about a lot of topics, right? I think if people saw the casualties of Iraq, of Afghanistan, if they actually saw, the evidence of war crimes, I mean, this is why when you look at the Vietnam War, right? The Vietnam War was the first televised war, and it's like the first time. I mean, of course, you've had people before that embedded, but this was different, because you had lots of Americans now with television sets at home. right? And you know, the average American could afford a television now, and they could see journalists in the jungle, you know, doing reports and showing them the brutality of the war. And I mean, it helped to spur on the anti-war movement, which is great. But after that, not only did they get rid of the draft because, you know, people found out how outrageous it was, what they were doing in Vietnam. If you look at the Iraq War, for example, in 91, the first Gulf War, or in 2003, and ever since, you know, the people who are embedded journalists, they're pre-selected hacks, right? It's not the same. I mean, of course, you had propaganda during the Vietnam War from the U.S., duh. But my point is that now it was like, you know, they would overwhelmingly permit only the, you know, people like Brian Williams and Shep Smith to go there. You know, these people who are there to sell the war, who are propagandists. That's what they are. And so once again, they do a great job at misinforming people, at lying to them, and that's so critical to how they're able to get away with things and stop people from being collectively outraged, whether it's about Julian Assange and consequently the wars that he exposed. You know, like Julian Assange basically did the very opposite of what these embedded pieces of shit do when they go to Iraq, right? It's not like they're just lying. They're actually there and they're still fucking lying and trying to sell the war, right? So Julian Assange did the exact opposite. He was like, yo, look at these wars. They are lies. They are hurting and killing and murdering people. And everything they talked about, this nation building democracy, it's all a lie. And that's why they're out to get him. Maxim, thank you for the super chat. Says guest audio is not working. I hear nothing. Graham cut out about 50 minutes ago for your info. Great show though. I'm sorry about that. I still think that you guys should go and watch it on his Rockfin to support him, because this is like really bullshit that they demonetized his channel. I mean, Graham is an amazing guy. You know, again. You gotta support people live broadcasting from the Kremlin, right? Come on, man. But seriously, Graham is awesome, and they just screwed over not just him, but you know, Frank Analysis. They screwed over Combo, Nico, all these people that are, you know, independent media without a reason. So definitely go and support. If not on Rockfin, then in any other means necessary. Please help him out, and I will have him on the show soon again, because I'd love to talk to him. It's always great. It's always great talking to him. He's awesome, really. So you'll excuse me. I'm just reading all of your super chats. I just want to catch up with you. So we got a donation on PayPal. So thank you for that. This is from, if I just get my phone to load. Lissy, thank you, Lissy. He says, thanks for the hard work. More than welcome. Thank you for the support. I'm very grateful, Lissy. Thank you. And Paul says, shadow. Oh, okay. I see. Richie, Rockfin needs a Droid app. Y'all be a co-op. If you build a Droid app, I will invest and hold $500 in Ray on Kyber Swap, even though the gas fee is $200. All right. This is a good point, because I've heard people complain there's no Android app, which is actually astonishing. I will get in touch with them. I'll make sure it's a top priority, because I mean, I'm not in charge of anything, but I'm just hoping that as someone who's on there, they're going to listen to me. They're good guys at Rockfin, and you know, like I think it's incredible that, you know, Rockfin has grown so fast. I joined like a year ago. I haven't been there for like barely a year, right? Almost a year soon, and Rockfin is pretty young, and you can see how many other people are on there. It's not just me. You got Graham Elwood, right? You got Jimmy Dore, you got Lee Camp, Whitney Webb, Nico Convo, you got Unauthorized Disclosure, Ron Placone. Like, there's so many of you know, lefty media, independent media on there already, and I think that's wonderful that we're growing. I think it's really important. So, you know, I definitely got to hit him up for the Android app. So thank you for bringing that up, because you're not the first one to, and you rightfully should. The Cinema Gorilla sent something on CashApp. Says for you're a king, permission to colonize me. No, man, I'm not gonna colonize nobody. We are anti-colonial. Do you understand? We're anti-colonialism. But I appreciate the joke, and I'm grateful for the support. I appreciate it. Oh man, you guys are great. You guys are great. God, I'm getting my goddamn window lost over here. Okay, just give me 1 second. I'm trying to check where I was. I lost my place on the Rockfins. I'm on Rockfin somewhere, man. I'm streaming on Rockfin. I know I am. And I'm sure some of you have left some tips. Some of you have left some tips on Rockfin. I want to read them to you. I think you can see them on the screen if I pull them up. Give me 1 second. If you'd be so kind, boy, to show some bloody patience. Yes. Okay, so nope, that's the wrong one. Here we go. Wonderful. Smashing out, boy. Wonderful. Bloody good show, yes. We got, I'm just gonna scroll up. Here we got JG. Thank you so much for the tip. I really appreciate it. And Mona darling, thank you so much. Mona says, yo, Cloudy and I need a pager so we can interrupt you when you're in the zone if something is up, so we can alert you of any technical difficulties. Just stopping by to let the world know that you are the motherfucking GOAT at MVP, the realest of the real. Keep up the great work. Love you, Richie. What? Mona is gassing me up way too much. Mona is spoiling me. She is absolutely spoiling me. Thank you so much, Mona. You are making my ass blush live on television, on the air. I'm really grateful. That's so sweet of you, Mona. And I appreciate also your endeavors to wake my ass up when something is up. Maybe I should get a pager. Do they still make those? I don't know, man. I've just seen them in movies, but I know what you're saying. So let's definitely do that. Let's get it. Y'all see how sweet Mona is. Again, Mona also designed a lot of the merch. The vast majority of it, right? So whether we're talking about the lion, right? Leo's in the house, or the Hillary Clinton. This is a good occasion to show off the merch, right? Let's show off the merch, man. If you go to store.richardmedhurst.com, okay, look at Mona's beautiful artwork. Okay, check this out. So she has done a lot of this. There's the Chillin' and Killin' with Hillary Clinton. I mean, what more could you want? What more could you want than... No, I wouldn't get the sticker. I want the bag. I want the tote. There we go. Just show it off, right? Nothing like a little HRC. But my favorite, and I know your favorite. I know which is your favorite. It's the Uncle Joe's Rainbow Coalition Death Cult. Come on, man. You know, I wanted to get the damn hoodie and it's sold out. Hold on. Do they have an XL? They got it now? Good. I'm going to get one. So this is just dope, man. Come on. Isn't that the best? And you should have seen the one that I sent her. Like, I made a mock-up, which it's the same idea, but like it looks so shit compared to that. So she really knocked it out of the park. She really drone striked it out of the park. There's a bunch of other stuff, man. You know the lion already. I got the lion as well. I need to get me a bunch of these, man. And you know what? Somebody said we should start selling shoes. You know, just to like start throwing shoes at people. Chunkless for all, right? We should definitely get some flip-flops, man. Some shahata. So that's definitely for the future. Anyway, oh, by the way, I wanted to give a shout out to Yeast. Yeast made this like little spinny thing over here. It's flashy, man. Come on, you gotta love it. Look at that. I hold it up like a fruit. Isn't that dope? So thank you for that, Yeast. I really appreciate it. And there you go. We got over here a tip on Rockfin, and I'm gonna read it to you. This is from hold on, it's not loading. I'm waiting. Vasilios says, you got me in, Richie. Into Rockfin? Good. I'm glad that you signed up on the Rockfins. We need more people to go and sign up. How many followers are we at right now? If I go back over here, how many are we at? Because it's important to find this out. Hold on a second. Give me a sec over here. So if I click on over here, 4,308 followers. That's pretty fucking dope. So once again, if you follow, this is free. You can make an account for free and you can hit follow and that's free. Okay? And just like you do super chats on YouTube, you can do super chats over here on the channel or in the video. And if you hit subscribe, this red button over here, it's $10 a month, but it goes to whoever you watch, right? So I think it's 20% minimum for whoever you endorse. Like, so basically it's $2, but the rest is just based on what you watch. And again, the main point is that you get everyone's premium. So like every single person on here, whether we're talking about Lee Camp or me or whoever, all of these channels, you're going to get their premium. So that's pretty cool, I think. And again, we need to decentralize, decouple from YouTube. So I think that's pretty cool. I think the live streams are set to premium by default, but I usually put them on free. Like I don't put anything up like that's not already on YouTube, basically. So yeah. Anyway, I'm kind of rambling now, but this is important because we really need to support independent media. And as you just saw, for example, Graham is, you know, perfect example. Convo, Nico, like, you know, we can't rely on YouTube. They can't rely on YouTube. So please help them out if you can. Subscribe to them, endorse their channels, and you know, help them out, because big tech is being sneaky. So there you go. I think we got, hold on a second. We got Andrew, who just endorsed on Rockman. Thank you so much, Andrew. I'm playing a crab dance just for you.
Clap for that, you stupid bastard.
And Corn Pop was a bad dude, and he ran a bunch of bad boys.
Listen, fuckhead, you have fucking crossed the line, claiming I'm the enemy. You got that, you goddamn son of a bitch?
I don't give a fuck what you think, bitch.
Good morning. Sunday morning.
Cut that bitch off.
Why you texting? Why? You're getting nervous, man. Calm down. It's okay. Okay.
Suck my dick and choke on it. I yield my time. Fuck you.
Isn't that wonderful? Isn't that wonderful? That's like one of the best quotes of 2020. We got another Rockfin tip over here. Just a tip. This is from Mona. Mona, thank you so much. I'm just trying to pull it up on the screen. Mona says, nah, Unity Merch Incorporated designed those. Exactly. Unity. I need my ring back. So guys, again, I'm very grateful for your support. We're not done just yet. With the war criminal salad. We got a couple more super chats, and then I'm gonna get to the next segment. You don't want to go nowhere. This is from Maxim. Maxime says, you should invite Iranian political analyst Andrew Illingsworth and all things expert Ryan Dawson on your show. I mean, give me a second. I'm just making a note for myself, because I always tell you guys to give me suggestions for guests so I can bring on who you want me to bring on. Thank you for that. I really appreciate it. And what was I going to say? Someone's talking about, I think, Whitney Webb the other day. I've had Whitney Webb, but on my television show. But there are guests like that I've brought on my television show, but not on my YouTube show, just because our schedules were, you know, not lined up on that time. So I'll have them on later. So if you haven't, definitely check there, because I mean, maybe you missed an interview or something. I'm speaking just in general, and also you should definitely check out the TV show, man. Like, come on, isn't that dope? So. Yeah, and thank you for the suggestions. I really appreciate that. Leslie says, Richie, you're amazing. You're so intelligent and you teach me so much. Thanks for everything you do. I feel bad reading these things when you guys gas me up. Like, it makes me blush. Thank you. I'm very grateful for your compliments, Leslie. I really appreciate that. I'm glad that it's informative and you can you know, get some kind of value out of it, because at the end of the day, that's the whole point. We gotta it's a long endeavor trying to debunk and challenge whatever the mainstream media is putting out, because these bastards control all of traditional news media and legacy media, the airwaves, radio, print, and even now the internet. They're trying to take over and kick us out. So yeah, I'm glad that we're still able to do something. So thank you for that, Florin. Those are some Swiss francs, I believe. So thank you for that. Merci beaucoup. Dankeschön. And I'm very grateful. So yeah, I just want to do, I want to do another report with you guys, if I still have it open. God dang it, where did it go? Shit. I think I must have closed it. I must have lost it. Okay, give me 1 second, because I just want to here we go. Okay, so. Oh, okay. No, it's fine. I got it. Okay, perfect. So let me just pull up the browser for you. I think you can see that. Wonderful app bar. Smashing. Okay. So just a few days after Joe Biden bombed Syria, guess who bombed Syria as well? Yes. Israel. The Zionist occupation. Again, I feel like I'm doing this report for the millionth time. I've lost count of how many airstrikes there are because it's so regular that it's really... I can't keep up. I just can't keep up. So I posted about this as it was happening. They attacked Damascus, Damascus government, and basically the way the Israelis do this, let me just show you on the map so you can get a kind of an understanding what's going on. I showed you this just earlier, but they always come in through the occupied Golan Heights. Not always. They also violate Lebanese airspace to the point that Lebanon complained to the United Nations just a few weeks ago, which is like a double infringement, right? They're not just violating Syria's territory and sovereignty, but also Lebanon's when they're not. Lebanon is not even the target. They're just like, and of course they also bomb Lebanon and Gaza and whenever they please, but it's mostly Syria. And just to give you an idea on the map of what and where we're talking about. So, the occupied Golan Heights, we're talking about over here. Okay, so they usually come in and bomb Quneitra. Okay, so Quneitra is also just on the Syrian side, right after the Golan Heights. And, so last night what they were doing is they came and bombed near Damascus. And here's some footage of that. You had Syrian air defenses intercepting their missiles over Damascus. Right, so again, you go and watch. There's not that much footage, but you go and watch my previous reports about this. It's just like it's always the same shit, right? They just come in the middle of the night, they just bomb and kill whoever they please, and they've even done assassinations sometimes. And I don't mean assassinations like you think with a pistol. No, with jets, right? They'll just come in and bomb, someone who they claim is part of Hamas, maybe, or Hezbollah, or Iranian-backed militias, which is the excuse they always use most of the time lately. And they'll do it in the middle of Jaramana. Like Jaramana is, I don't know what equivalent I can think of, but it's just extremely densely populated. Okay. So my point is that they don't even care. Like they'll just drop a fucking bomb in the middle of a residential neighborhood. Like it's nothing, The target is like one person. It doesn't matter if 10 other people get their fucking apartments blown up at the same time. Why would they care? Israel does whatever it wants, right? Could you imagine the outrage? Could you imagine the fucking outrage if Syria bombed Israel once, never mind every week? They would fucking lose it. You would have 50 countries come and shit on Syria on top of the 50 which are already shitting on Syria. Okay? And there's a very good case to be made about the fact that, this war on Syria is directly because Syria is a threat to Israel. Syria has never been on good terms with Israel, probably never will be either, and rightfully so. Syria is never going to bend the knee. You will not see Syria normalize fucking ties with Israel, right? Because not only have they stolen the Golan Heights, but, it's just, their entire occupation of Palestine is an affront in of itself, never mind just the Golan Heights. You understand? So Syria was opposed to Israel before they stole the Golan Heights in 1967. It's not just about that. And just imagine the outrage if the roles were reversed. And you have Israeli officials themselves. They rarely admit these kinds of things, but they've admitted that they've bombed Syria hundreds of times, right? Which is astonishing. It's like their official policy is never to comment, never to acknowledge or deny, but they're so arrogant and so brazen with it that they don't even care, right? It's like, we just do whatever we like there. So this is from 2018 in Reuters. Israel says struck Iranian targets in Syria 200 times in the last 2 years. This is in 2018. So they're saying from 2016 basically until 2018, they've carried out 200 bombings in just 2 years alone. 200 motherfucking times. I mean, if you want to come here and then tell me that Israel is some kind of a so-called democracy, and that they care about international law, and that they are not the aggressors and they're always the victims, and it's always the Arabs that hate us, motherfucker. I mean, this is absurd, right? I'm not even they're like, I partially suspect that the only reason they acknowledge this is to kind of, say that, look, there are so many Iranian targets in Syria that we've bombed them 200 times. Do you understand? Like, to kind of just, again, push the propaganda. Once again, I must reiterate this to you. Even if Iran moved its entire population, it moved its entire army and every nut and bolt inside Syria, with, of course, the permission of the Syrian people and the Syrian government. That's none of your fucking business. Like, once again, America has bases in Germany. It has bases in Japan, in Korea, 800 fucking bases. Is it okay if I don't know, Mozambique goes and conducts airstrikes on Korea because they're hitting, American-backed targets? What kind of a fucking argument is that? What is that? What does that even mean? It's none of your business. It's not your fucking country. You don't get to decide who gets into Syria or out of Syria. Like, people don't even question that. They just say, oh, Iran? Okay, that means the bombing was justified. Let's just all go back to sleep. What is wrong with you? What is wrong? Like, it's unbelievable, right? The brainwashing is so effective. People think that, everything Israel does is perfect. Everything the United States and Britain do is perfect. And that if they take military action, they conduct airstrikes, it's always justified. Why? Well, we don't really know why, but Arabs bad and West good. It's just a fucking conditioning, right? I'm pretty sure if you ask most people, what does it mean, Iranian-backed targets? They have no fucking clue. They don't even know what that means. They don't even know what it's in reference to. They don't know. They just saw the word Iran or Hezbollah and they thought, oh, yes, okay, yes. And it's not necessarily true, right? It's just a pretext. Yes? You understand that, right? Just because Israel says it bombed XYZ inside of Syria, that doesn't mean it's fucking true. It's just a pretext. And you saw that Joe Biden using the same pretext. Oh, look, we bombed Iranian-backed militants inside of Syria. And in the New York Times, they don't even know if it's the same group that did those rocket attacks in the U.S. Embassy, U.S. Embassy Grayzone in Baghdad. They don't even know if it's the same. I think Dan Cohen posted something along the lines of, it's Judith Miller's spirit still lives on at the New York Times. I was like, motherfuck, exactly. Like, yes. For those of you who don't know, Judith Miller is the piece of trash propagandist scumbag who helped sell the war in Iraq. I mean, almost everyone did, to be fair, right? We got to give them all credit, these war criminal bastards. But she was like, really, there are weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, and she published so much shit in the New York Times. It was just unbelievable. And so that's what she's famous for, doing propaganda for the Bush regime and helping massacre and displace millions. Well done. What a fantastic journalist. It's better to liken those people to Joseph Goebbels, the Nazi propaganda minister, than anything else, because that's what they are, right? They just spew propaganda to start wars and murder people. Wow. That's journalism to you. Okay. So, they're saying also that they're blaming them for the ship, that these airstrikes were because of this ship, this Israeli ship. And I mean, I need to show you something because it's so preposterous. Once again, we go back to one of our favorite characters, our favorite figures, Danny Dunnan, right? So you remember Danny Dunnan? He's the U.S. permanent, it was a Freudian slip. The Israeli permanent representative to the United Nations, no difference. And if you look on his Twitter, okay, he posted this, okay, about the ship that this one over here. So he says, Iran continues to provoke Israel, and the attack on an Israeli-owned ship in Oman testifies to this. We will not be silent. The Iranians will pay a heavy price for any aggression against Israel. Wow. That's really amusing. And then he goes back to say that, SNL is anti-Semitic for all this stuff. And, he starts criticizing the nuclear agreement. And, I mean, what do ballistic missiles have to do with nukes? Nothing. What does resistance movements, which he calls terrorist activities, have to do with nukes? Nothing. But they have to make you think that it's about nukes so that, you just accept it and roll over and don't question it. So yeah, this guy, Danny Dunnan, it's so funny how he's talking as if Israel is the victim of Iranian strikes or like, what are you even talking about? You just bombed Syria. You bomb Syria every week. You're illegally occupying Palestine. You've sabotaged Iran's nuclear centrifuges, which in of itself, is a form of warfare and a declaration of war. I mean, it is, right? Cyber warfare. Can you imagine if Iran created a virus and just shut down one of Israel's nuclear facilities, civilian or otherwise, because they have both, or in the US? They would fucking bomb Iran immediately, right? Because that's like a declaration of war. But apparently when they do it to Iran, it's okay. So this hypocrite over here is talking about aggression and talking about paying a heavy price. Motherfucker, you bomb and kill people every day, every week, if not every day. What are you talking about? Talking about aggression. That's hilarious. Really, the neighborhood bully is talking about aggression. They're just looking for any excuse to do exactly what they did, which is bomb Syria, right? They just keep going about this nonsense. So it doesn't matter that they don't have proof, right? It's just they need to say, well, yeah, it was Iran. And then they can violate Syria's sovereignty, violate Syria's territory, treat Syria like a playground, which is what they've been doing. And it's heartbreaking. It really is, because I want to share another perspective, perhaps, because maybe I think most of you, I hope you do, and I think most of you do feel some kind of empathy towards the issue. But, let me frame it for you another way. I mean, Damascus is the oldest city in the world, right? That's not just a Syrian, a piece of Syrian heritage. It's human heritage, like our entire species, right? That's our oldest city. Us, human beings on Earth, Damascus is our oldest city, okay? Why the fuck would you bomb that? Like, what is wrong with you? Do you see my point here? You shouldn't be bombing anyone anyway. Like, I don't care if you found a city tomorrow morning. You shouldn't be bombing other countries and cities regardless. But just like, if you're not angered by the basic rationale of it, there's also other ways to look at it, why it's such an atrocity. Do you see what I mean? You see what I mean? Like, they're not just destroying another country, they're destroying our collective human heritage. And that's just I mean, it's criminal. It's evil to do that. Not to mention the people, honestly, we talk about, like, yeah, our heritage and stuff and history, but what about the people? Like, you can rebuild buildings, which is what Syria is doing. There are so many things that have been destroyed in the war that are being rebuilt now. But I guess, that's happened many times in history. It doesn't make it okay, but you can rebuild it. You can't bring human beings back. People fucking die. And they think that they can justify bombing residential neighborhoods, whether it's in Gaza in 2014 or whether it's, every week, perhaps in Syria. They think that they can justify that because in their view, they killed a terrorist. What, so you killed 10 other people? Yeah, apparently to them that's okay, right? Because we're not human beings to them. And then they dare to say that, Syria is aggressive or that, they're victims or something. I mean, it's preposterous. It's truly preposterous. And I feel like I'm repeating myself for the millionth time. Like this happens so often. I feel like I'm just repeating the same things, and it's heartbreaking, you know? But if I don't say it, who is going to say it? How many progressive channels or lefty channels are going to do this, man? Like they won't even report on one fucking strike. Never mind, like, you know, the hundreds. I mean, I haven't done hundreds. I think I'd lose it before then. I'm already losing it now. But, like, you know, they won't even report on one, never mind several. And it's just horrendous, man. But, you know, you can't deviate from that. And just think about this. In December of 2020, so just 3 months ago, the United States, what happened? You remember the omnibus bill that I covered? Where I just talked about that with Graham now. So they put the defense budget, the NDAA, inside this big ass bill with the checks, with the stimulus checks, right? The $600 for COVID relief. And in the defense budget, in the NDAA, right, they included $500 million for Israel for their missile defense. Now, I mean, $500 million is like a joke compared to what they get annually. So if you recall, when Obama became president, he gave them the biggest military aid package they've ever seen, which is $38 billion over 10 years. So every year, $3.8 billion. Okay. And it's just astonishing how in the middle of economic crisis, a pandemic, in the same piece of fucking legislation, like, you know, think of it as a pie, right? You had a pie, and they decided to give a means-tested $600 check to Americans and $500 million to Israel. It wasn't even, you can't even like look at it as a humanitarian thing. Like, it wasn't like, oh, they gave $500 million for, you know, their vaccines or you know, to build hospitals or something. No, it's like for missiles to fucking, you know, come and bomb Syria or kill Palestinians, whatever. So do you see once again why this is so infuriating? And why, you know, it's like they're not just screwing over people in Syria, people in Palestine, people in Lebanon, people in the Middle East. Like they're screwing you as well, like as Americans, you know. And it's outrageous. It's frankly outrageous that even during a time of extreme despair that they're still doing that. Like, you have millions of Americans, they can't pay their rent, they can't put food on the table, they might get evicted any second, right? There are no jobs, and by consequence, no healthcare, because they're tied to each other, and it's just a disaster. And, you know, those checks, you got 2 checks, and now Biden's president, and he's still dragging his fucking feet. What does he do? He bombs Syria before he gives you any checks, right? I mean, not that it would have been better to give you a check and then bomb Syria, which is what some liberals have been saying, like, what, fuck you, what is wrong with you? But nonetheless, it just shows you what his priorities are, right? It really does. And he's no different from any other American president. But again, I think it would be wrong to give Israel any money during any time. I don't care if, like, even if every single American had their own castle and they were in 100% perfect health. And, you know, inshallah, I wish you all good health and happiness and everything. Even then, you should not be giving Israel fucking monies to bomb Syria and bomb Palestine, right? But again, I'm just trying to show to you how, like, where their priorities lie, where your government's priorities lie. And as I mentioned earlier with Graham, Chuck Schumer and Mitch McConnell, they specifically chose to, how generous of them, right? These poor senators had to take a break from their Christmas break to reconvene at the Senate and get the defense budget through, because, you know, Raytheon and Israel come first, right? So they made sure to take care of that, and, you know, because Trump was threatening to veto it, etc. Do you think they'd ever do that? Do you think they come back from their break to help you? They've taken several breaks. I think one was in August. I can't keep track. I think they've done 2 or 3 of them, right? Where they're in the middle of so-called negotiations. Because remember, when it comes to giving you something, whether it's a $15 minimum check or, a $15 minimum wage or a relief check, that takes time. We need to hash it out, right? We got to have committee debates and shit. But we're not going to debate support for Israel. Are you on crack? No way. We're not going to debate that. We're not going to debate the defense budget. Oh no, that's passing. Wow. And this is what they do, right? This is what they do with your money. Incredible, right? And not to mention, it's like, it's not even just with the military aid, because I told you during the HEROES Act, they gave money to IDF, Friends of the IDF, which is, some allegedly nonprofit. I don't even understand how that works. How do you have a nonprofit that supports foreign soldiers? Like, isn't that treason or something? I mean, okay, never mind. I'm not going to get into the legalities of it. It's just the principle that they gave $2.5 million to Friends of the IDF. And you don't even know where that fucking money is going. Like, it's just, again, going to illegal occupiers. And instead of giving it to you. Preposterous, truly preposterous. All right. So here's Obama and Netanyahu, $3.8 billion a year over 10 years. And thank goodness America sent that $500 million check in December to Israel instead of giving that money to Americans who need food, healthcare, or to pay the rent. And as you know, Israel is already, they keep boasting about how many of their population they've inoculated, right, and vaccinated. They say 30%, not counting the Palestinians, of course, who are living under their occupation. So they have no problem dealing with their own public health affairs. They have universal health care. But you can't have that. No. Israel can have universal health care. Israel can have, allegedly, the highest inoculation rate anywhere. Again, not counting the Palestinians, because they treat them like second-class human beings. And on top of it, they want your money so they can bomb Palestinians further and bomb Syria further. And you can go and fuck yourself. You're not getting health care. You're not getting a check. You're not seeing any of the same things that they have. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? Again, this shows you there are certain things you do not fuck with in Washington, D.C., right? There are certain issues you do not touch. The defense budget, the national security state, Israel, you do not fuck with that. That is a nonpartisan issue, right? That's bipartisan, it's multilateral, name it whatever the fuck you want. That is an absolute constant, okay? That's what's up. You know, for example, if you look at the DNC platform committee in a few months ago when they were finishing it up, there was they were voting on whether to condition military aid to Israel, right? Like, oh, how generous of you. Like, we'll give you a little, like, if you keep doing your doo-doo, we won't give you any more bombs. Like, a little less bombs. What? So anyway, they were doing writing up the language for that, and Joe Biden intervenes and he says, remove the word occupation. So they removed it, right? They won't even acknowledge the fact that Israel is illegally occupying Palestine, even though the United States, along with all other members, not just the other 4 permanent members of the United Nations Security Council, but also the other 10 rotating members at the time, when they were voting on resolution 242, 496, 497, there's so many, basically affirming that, yeah, these settlements by Israel are illegal. Israel is illegally occupying Palestine. Everyone unanimously voted for that, including the United States. There's like no one abstained, no one voted against. Everyone was in fucking agreement. So, they won't even respect that. They won't even respect the United Nations Security Council resolutions, the international law, which the United States has supposedly voted for and made a commitment to adhere to. They won't even recognize or respect that anymore. And that's, of course, not just continued with the language that the DNC uses, but also with Trump moving the embassy to Jerusalem, recognizing Jerusalem and the occupied Syrian Golan Heights as Israeli. Biden's not going to reverse any of that, which is in violation of international law. And, if anyone in the Democratic Party had a fucking spine, they would resign. Me personally, I wouldn't be caught dead in the Democratic Party, but if I were in the Democratic Party and I saw that Joe Biden intervened to remove the word occupation, I would quit. I mean, I'm not going to be affiliated with you. You can go and fuck yourself. And that's just over the wording. Never mind the fact that you're going to give these motherfuckers weapons to kill Palestinians. Okay? So I want to illustrate to you that, yes, The bar is that low that, you have people in the Democratic Party, even these so-called progressives who claim that their values are rooted in human rights, they are full of shit. If they had any fucking backbone, they would resign in protest. And that's just one issue. That is just one issue among many others. Right now with the $15 minimum wage, if they had any fucking spine, they would resign, because not only did they help Joe Biden get elected on this $15 minimum wage promise, they themselves ran on that promise. Okay? All of these progressives. The entire party. Again, it's not just about the progressives. We're not trying to single them out, but they ran on that. They promised you that. And now they have full control. And I mean, yes, barely in the Senate, but even then they can still do it if they want to. And they're choosing specifically not to give it to you. If they had any spine, they would fucking resign, not just write a letter. Anyone can write a letter. I can write one for you right now. That doesn't mean anything. That's not, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not going to get anything done because you wrote the letter and Joe Biden said, go fuck yourself. I'm not going to overwrite the Senate parliamentarian. So just all of this to say that you have no one in the Democratic Party who has a spine. They are all catering to the military-industrial complex, to Israel, and to, all private corporations, of course. But specifically, you do not mess with Israel's budget or their special status as, America's best friend. And it's incredible. It's really incredible, right? So in the same week, we have Syria being bombed by Israel, bombed by the United States. I mean, like, do they ever leave Syria the fuck alone? Like, we're already in a state of war. We're being shot on by 12 different countries. There are jihadists running everywhere. Like, they don't even give us a minute to breathe. It's so horrible. It's so horrendous. It really is. Like, Syria is on her fucking knees and they are still trying to destroy her. What does that tell you? Like, think how, I mean, it's actually astonishing that you have so many goddamn countries and governments that are doing every fucking thing they can to destroy Syria. It's really weird, right? It's almost apocalyptic in a sense. And truly, people have been through an apocalypse in Syria. So many people have lost their homes, their families. They've been through atrocities I can't even imagine. It's nuts. So, that's what this is the price that you pay for resisting Israel. And that's not just me saying that. That's also, former Israeli official saying that they offered Syria peace and Syria refused. And he said it along the lines of, Syria would not be in the situation it's in if it had normalized ties with Israel, which kind of tells you everything you need to know. I just want to look up that exact quote for you. Hold on. Although last time I played you this interview with Mehdi Hassan and the former head of the Mossad talking about how they were giving medical aid to jihadists, to Al-Qaeda in Israel. Right? You remember that? He just like straight up says it. Yeah, we were bringing in Al-Qaeda to the hospital. So I just want to find this exact quote here. Although I doubt I'm going to find it right now because I'm end of my wits. But there you go. I'm sure one of you is going to give it to me in the comments. But anyway, just that's, I'm so sickened by this. It's really heartbreaking. As Z says, who has control of the oil refineries currently in Syria? Well, that's the thing. When it depends. A few years ago, you had ISIS who were in control of them, and not just them, but you had other jihadists at certain times. Again, it depends in Deir ez-Zor or in Hasakeh. But they would they would build these makeshift oil refineries, which have like fucked up the environment and polluted it. And it's just horrendous, right? You have people that have been developing illnesses because of this like crude, no pun intended, this like crude way of refining the oil so they can go and sell it off and fund their terrorism. And Turkey just gladly buys it and smuggles it, and right now the Americans have control of it with the SDF. And this is, now they're calling it modernizing the oil fields. So maybe on the plus side, with these, modular refineries supplied by the White House and American forces there'll be like a tiny little less pollution in the environment as, they have a bit more upgraded equipment to steal the oil with, right? That's wonderful, right? AGR says, hey, just wondering where'd you get your news from? I am the news. No, but which topic exactly? Because I don't know when you sent that. If you're talking about the bombing yesterday on Damascus, well, I mean, there are several videos that have been posted. You know, I follow a bunch of people that are in Damascus, in Syria, on the ground, and who live there. And so I mean, since this is a weekly occurrence where Israel is bombing Syria, it's really not that hard to get news of it or, you know, footage of it. But you won't see it reported. I mean, did you hear about any of this? Like, if I had not told you, would you have known that Israel bombed Syria last night? Even though this is happening almost every week. It's incredible, right? I don't know about the casualties though, because sometimes there are casualties, sometimes there are not. But it's astonishing that, you know, they more often than not just bomb residential areas. You know, even if it's in Jaramana, for example. I mean, I can't explain to you how fucked up that is. It's just like, I mean, it would be messed up anywhere, but it just shows. My point is, it shows you how like little how much disregard they have for collateral, if you can call it that. I consider that a massacre, you know. So there you go. So you guys are asking me about a Syrian partisan girl or Abby Martin or Vanessa Beeley. So again, this is another one of those examples where I've actually interviewed them for television, but not on my show just yet. So I think 2 months ago, I can't remember, just a few weeks back, I did an episode with Beeley. So just look that up, and you'll. With Abby Martin, I was supposed to have her on a while back, but we had to reschedule. So I want to have them all on, obviously. So yeah, I will be having them all on, and it will be great. So don't worry. So let me just make sure I caught all of your comments. Yeah, as Mona's pointing out, I've had Vanessa Beeley on my show. So, you know, I had her on for both television and my show. It was actually like, sometimes, you know, when you do an interview, you can't, like, you know, it's too long for television. So you have to decide, like, okay, am I going to put, you know, you can put part of it into the programming, and when it goes over, I put it on YouTube. So basically people can enjoy the whole thing. So yeah. And because, you know, it's a shame sometimes you interview someone and there's a lot of good stuff, but you can't cram all of it into a television broadcast. So you have to, you know, you have to make sure that people can get the goods, right? So hold on, I'm trying to get my phone to load. Give me 1 second. Okay, I'm just gonna do this on the computer because I can't read anything, man. Policy Politics says right now Joe Biden and his Rainbow Gang are the world's #1 terror group. Yes, that is. You know, I like Rainbow Gang. It's they are a gang after all. They're literally just running a racket. So there you go. Everyone who takes over just continues the last one. If you recall, I made that video about George Bush when he was declaring war on Iraq, and it's like the start of the war on terror. Well, yeah, I mean, it started with Afghanistan, but you know, this legacy is continued by every president. So yeah, they're definitely the world's #1 terror group. People won't see it that way yet, right? So we got to educate them. That's the thing. We got to educate them. So hold on, I got a super chat a tip over here from Mona. I'm trying to pull it up on the screen so you guys can see it too, but it's not working. Hold on. So I'm just gonna read it to you. Mona says, Chris Hinks and Franco, all of them should be on your show. Got to help these smaller cats out. Also, Glory Jones. You need to go on Slow News Daily before March 17th to help push the DC protest for Assange. Okay, got to go back to work. Love you. Later, everyone. Be love. Yeah, so there's an Assange march in DC on March 17th, but I think they also said it's going to be anti-war protest, which is good. I mean, you know, if you know what Assange exposed, then you know the two go together. It's anti-war by default, right? But that's good, and we got to promote that. Are they letting you guys actually protest? Because, like I said, in the UK, it's like you just can't. You know, it's like. Also, I remember when you guys tried to force the vote, they were basically, you know, the sit-in for Medicare for all, like which was just a few days before. You know, you guys were placed under restrictions, right? If you went to DC for a force the vote, no, you can't go too close to the Capitol building. You got to stay in this confined area. Blah 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 blah. And then all of a sudden, a few days later, all hell breaks loose. How weird. What is up with that? How odd. I'm just saying. Bit odd. But I in any case, we definitely got to push that. So, I mean, I've been on Slow News Daily before. Awesome. And I really got to go back on there soon. Christopher says, is there any cross-border trade with Syria and Israel? No. Yeah, like unless you're talking about terrorists, yes, they they definitely cross over the border and get some medical treatment and supplies before going back in to further mess up Syria. And I know it's so easy to think like I'm just exaggerating or just saying that as hyperbole. I'm not joking. Like there's an interview with Mahdi Hassan where he interviews the former chief of the Mossad. It's on the channel. We covered it, and he just straight up fucking tells you like, yeah, we've been helping Al Qaeda and giving them medical treatment. And he says it's because they're aligned in the same goal, which is what? It's to destabilize and destroy Syria. I mean, you're hearing it straight from the horse's mouth. It's not me saying that. Anyway, so guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Before I go, I kindly ask you to support the show. I'm going to do a proper plug right now. This is a Venmo, the Cash App, the PayPal, anything you want to go, anything goes. I'm taking as small donations as you'll give me or as large ones as I can take. Anything is appreciated. Everything is greatly valued. And I'm so grateful to have this opportunity and this platform. So I'm very grateful towards you and for supporting independent media. If you want, you can scan the QR code with your camera phone and that's it. Other than that, you can also sign up on Patreon or Rockfin. This is the Patreon right over here. And you can donate as little as you want, $2 a month, $7, whatever you want, as little or as much as you want. It's greatly appreciated, and I thank you so much. And of course, I will play a crab dance if anybody manages to sign up within the next minutes. Other than that, give me 1 second. Other than that, we also have Rockfin. Rockfin is where the future of independent media is. Look at all of these beautiful other channels that are on here. You can sign up for free. Doesn't cost you a penny. And if you want the exclusive premium stuff that other channels do, you can get that for $10 a month. It's like Netflix, but for politics. I think it's a dope deal. No censorship. It's the best way. So rockfin.com/RichardMedhurst. And you know, if you want to help the show as well with the equipment upgrade, which I would greatly appreciate, we are almost at our we've almost reached our goal on the GoFundMe, which is really important. Check this out. We are at 90%, I believe. Okay, we're at 90%, so we are almost there. We're $600 away from hitting our goal. So definitely please donate if you can. It's greatly appreciated. And other than that, there's also the merch. If you want to get any of your merch, just go to store.richardmedhurst.com. You can get the War Criminal t-shirts, the War Criminal merch, Uncle Joe's Rainbow Coalition. And yeah, that's about it. I think I've plugged the show adequately. And I thank you so much for tuning in. Damn, I really need to get the hoodie before you guys cop all of the extra large ones again. Wait, am I large or extra large? I keep forgetting, man. Because I'll check after. But yeah, there's a bunch of stuff. There's a mug too. I need to get one in the mug. So thank you so much for that. And I'm grateful for all of your help. Liking the video, commenting, sharing, all that shit helps as well. And if you can, watch both on Rockfin and on YouTube. Because we get paid better on Rockfin and there are no ads. So again, I'm not sure how crypto works, but I don't know. Someone probably knows. It's just, it's good. So watch on both if you can. I'll greatly appreciate it. And I'm just checking one last time in case I missed anybody. Pantomina says, Sabah al khair, keep it up, bro. I'm not seeing the emoji, but I think those are Palestinian and Syrian flags. Thank you so much. Tsemli Habibti. I really appreciate it so much. Sabah al-Nur. So that's all for me, guys. I'm gonna jets, and I'll catch you guys very soon. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for supporting independent media. That was awesome. Take care. Ma'as salame. Bye bye.